Whoa, hello everybody, and welcome to the Phalanx Ep14. I am Jason Farrow, one of the hosts of this show. I want to thank everybody for showing up and watching us once again do what we do on a Friday night here. Uh, Really quick, get our topic out of the way for those that are here, and who we got in the comments. We will check that out. The topic today will be for us. We have lots of indie creators here, all from different age groups and different influences and backgrounds. We're going to be talking about who our individual influences were as creators, as indie comic creators. So that is going to be just as advanced as the personalities that we're going to have up here today. So I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in and to the fans. I'm going to bring on my co-host right now, Chris Michael. Chris, what's up?
I will never get you to say Christopher ever, will I?
No, that's a weird name. So it's Christopher Michael sounds like a romance novel character. I'm sorry, but that's just kind of what it sounds like.
I hate you.
If I put an S on it, it's cooler because it sounds like a wrestler, Christopher Michael. So I will say Christopher if you allow me to say Michael. But let's be honest, you don't stop me from saying it anyway because I do it 99.9% of the time. But so yeah, we got a full house tonight, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be a big show. I'm pretty stoked for it.
Awesome show, yeah, man, for sure. We got some really great. We got some newcomers, and we got some folks that are gonna be popping in a little bit later, so that's kind of cool. So it's nice
to be a full house for the first time in quite a while.
If we get everybody in, yeah, absolutely. It's be 10. We have 10 seats filled today. So, So Chris, let's make some small talk before I bring in our folks. Okay. What did you do today, Jim? What did you do? Did you go to the gym?
Actually, no. I was going to, and then I figured if I went to the gym, it would put like a time constraint on me. We had to go to the doctor's today, and
okay,
grocery stores were a mess because it's the end of the world, So
it is. It definitely is the end of the world.
Yeah. Time-wise, I thought it was safer for me just to not go. I will go early tomorrow morning. But,
okay.
It was a busy day over here. Let's put it that
way. All right. Chris works 18 jobs. So for those of you who aren't familiar, our regular viewers know this. I work one job. So, I mean, outside of being a comic creator, I guess. But so I work today. I came right home and once again do my normal. I eat dinner excessively quickly, and here I am. So
yeah.
All right, so let's go.
I was gonna say, you being a comic creator, especially when you're trying to fulfill Kickstarter rewards, is like having another full-time job by itself.
It is, and a lot of our people here can speak to that as well. But all right, so Calvary Collective, Calvary Collective, excited for the show. Thanks for being in the comments. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. And again, if you would care to subscribe to the channel, if you haven't already, we as content creators would very much appreciate it. But all right, let's start bringing in our peeps. All right, we're going to bring in our folks that have been here before, and then we're going to bring in our current newcomer until our other newcomer pops up for us. But so right off the bat, I'm looking right to my left. I'm going to bring in Nicholas Muir, who is better known for Demon Hunter Raven book. And so we're going to bring old Nick in. Hello,
howdy.
Nick.
Howdy.
Hi.
Long time no see.
Yeah, and still no see. But
yeah, you see us.
Yeah. What's up, buddy?
I'm doing good. How about you guys?
Good. I see you're gearing up for another book launch, right?
Yes.
Naomi.
It's the main character's name is Naomi, but the book itself is called Radiant Rapture. It's and part of the ongoing series within the Demon Hunter Raven universe.
Awesome.
It's going to be exploring some of the historical context, and it's actually super important to the ongoing story. But I'm sure I can dive into that more later. But
yeah, absolutely.
Really excited about it.
Well, we're excited to see it. Like I said, it's one of my favorite organizations in comics. Because it's just I appreciate the depth that you have in it from reading the other books that you have, and that it's vast. It's not centered around one character. There's many characters that occupy this organization, and you have a lot of that allows a lot of creativity. So
Yeah,
that's pretty
and it's kind of fun because it's not like in full lore drumping on people. It's
cool. Right.
it's definitely diving into the narrative paths of all these characters and making them grounded and important.
Yeah, it's good.
Yep. It's
All
a lot of
right.
fun.
Yeah, we're excited for that. So it's not just because it's another SSB title, but
right.
we're excited because I personally like the lore that you've created in your comic. All right, next up we got Dan Price, everyone, and Dan, you are a mute, my friend. You think Dan would be a pro at these, considering he's literally on everyone's stream.
I know.
Right?
I know.
Right? I mean, you right? Am I okay? Right.
Yeah. Hey, hey guys, how y'all doing tonight? Sorry about that. I was like drinking water, muted, not even paying. Not even ready to go. So
it's all
good to be here.
No worries.
I know,
happens.
right?
So, where can people find you?
Oh, sure. You can find me on social media at Instagram and Twitter. You can find me at Danomite139. That's DANOMYTE 139. Or you can go to my website, BigfootNoseKarate.com. So that's the best place to find me.
Awesome.
And what I'm doing. So
and my man is everywhere. Like I wasn't kidding when I said that. Like every time I see him, like he also was the master of random lives. I also came across it like you did, where you were drawing, and I'm like, I knew nothing about this, and I'm like, oh, Chris was here drawing with me too. I'm like, what? I didn't know he was playing this stuff.
Yeah, Dan will message me randomly and be like, "Hey, you gonna be free tomorrow night?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." That's fine.
But the funny thing is, like, I started doing the same thing. Like when I'm just here drawing the panels, I'm like, I'm just gonna go live for like for like a half hour. I mean, it's just content, right?
Well, I'll do it at like 5 o'clock in the morning and see who's up.
Yeah, that's right. You're surprised. It's surprising. It really is.
It's surprising how many people are up as early as me. Yeah, it really does shock me. Like Jerry, E4 Jerry will be up in the mornings, the Coolie too. So it's pretty funny who just shows up and those things.
All right. Who we got next up? We have, there he is, Jerry Chapman.
Wow, he's got like a whole background thing.
And he's not. You're muted. Unmute yourself, man. What is going on today? That's it. You're still muted. No one can hear you.
I think you're muted on your headset.
I think your headset's muted.
Has a
headset's muted too. This is
check the cord. Make sure you're plugged in.
How about now?
There you go. Hey,
all right.
All right. Hey, guys, we're cooking with gas. All right. So, we're off to a hell of a start.
Your victory was our victory, Jerry.
Thank you.
Gary, where come on, where can they find you? I mean,
what's up, everybody?
Comics, but...
I'm Jerry from E4 Comics, creator of The Elements. You can find me on Instagram under E4 Comics, Facebook, and Twitter. And you can go to www.e4comics.com to see what I'm up to and to see when the next Kickstarter goes into action.
All right, good. Yeah, you're going to be gearing up. Yeah, you're gearing up for a Kickstarter next month. Dun, dun, dun.
The stress is already pouring in.
I let the stress begin.
I think that's how I got sick. It weakened my immune system.
Oh, for sure, man. Oh, I'm a firm believer that Chris will pay. Chris runs himself down every day.
Yo.
All right. Next up, we're going to bring in my man, Jack Sloan.
Jackie.
Hey boys, how we doing?
I think we're going to do a show one day where we'll all just use our avatars.
Just avatars.
Look, I would have my camera on, but I look like a poor man's Beetlejuice today. You don't want to see this shit. So.
I got it. No, I feel you. It's all good. That's what we're allowed to do this. That's the reason. So, Jack, how's the Australia for you?
Savage as always. Still not allowed to leave our houses, so it is what it is.
Christ, man. So Jack, where can they find you? What's your handles?
You can find me on Instagram at Sloan_Slate Comics. Again, you can find me on Facebook at Sloan Comic Art. And you can visit our website at slatecomics.com. That's where you can usually find me or Nathan.
All right, cool. All right. Next up, we're gonna bring in D Hauser of my man D of Kid Nebula.
Hey,
What's up, buddy?
how's it going?
It's your second appearance.
I know. You didn't scare me off
And
yet.
you and Dan, it's your second appearance. This is great. The fact that you said yes when I asked you this time says a lot. It either says that you may be a bit of a sadomasochist, or you generally liked what your experience here. So it is what it is. But we're glad to have you back. Where can people find you, D?
Well, D.Hausener on Instagram, and then kidnebulacomic.com website. I've got all the goodies on there too.
Yeah, and you're right in the middle of making that comic, correct?
Oh yeah. I'm going through all the tier that I thought would be fun, but it's getting kind of stressful now, getting all everyone's characters in there. But yeah, it's fun.
That's it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that for my next book. When I said, "Hey, I'll draw you into the comic," and then now it sounded really cool. Then later, I'm like, "Bro, that's gonna suck." But it is what it is. Dan made it easy on me though for his. But anyway, all right. So we got our last but not least, people waiting in the green room to come on. Now this is my dude Cameron Ruiz. He is he's a young buck who's just starting his creative journey with a whole host of characters, amazing characters, and he's got really some really badass looking characters, and I just love his creativity. He's also a fellow Jerseyite, or Jerseyan, if you will. I mean, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Whatever. I live South Jersey, he's North Jersey, but whatever. But we get along pretty well, so let's bring him on. Hey, what's up, Cam?
How's it going, everybody? Let's do it.
What's up, buddy? Let's do it.
How's it going?
Cam's first appearance, and this is his first appearance on the stream, right? You said?
Yeah, first appearance ever in this indie community right now.
Yeah. And I see you get your bling in your ears. It's just twinkling over there, bro. All right, cool. Yeah,
Thank you.
So, Cameron, where can they find you? Yeah,
you could find me on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, everything as Mind of Ruiz.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cameron's a massive supporter of what we do, each and every one of us, and especially this channel. He's been a fan since day one, since we've been doing this stuff. And he says he learns from us. I don't
definitely.
I don't all the bad habits maybe.
I don't know if we're really the best idea to learn from. That's
why I said so. He's like, oh, bro. I was like, I don't know if you want to learn from us.
Want to know how we got some gold nuggets in there? All right.
Oh, for real. All right, so this is everybody we got today. We're still waiting on a couple. We got some folks running late and stuff like this. But just to reiterate to everyone in the comments, and Dan, I took that thing off your face if you noticed. For you, so you weren't blocking. Although it was a cool Spartan logo.
I know. Every once in a while, I would just go into 300 by doing this.
Yeah, you just got kick the laptop over. All right. So for the folks in the comments, if obviously you see that we had our title card up, but we're talking about influences. Each and every single person here is a comic creator and a character creator and a world builder in their own right. So we all have influences that we pull from many different sources. And each one of us are going to give maybe some similar answers, but I can guarantee you we're going to give different answers. Because that's just, I mean, the oldest guy here is me. All right. I'm almost 50. And the youngest guy here is Cameron, who's 20. So, and then everyone's sprinkled out in between. So, so here we are. We're a very eclectic group of ages and different backgrounds, and you're going to get different answers for influences, I think, and especially how you would create your character or an idea or even a story. If you wrote a story or or whatever, we all have those creative juices that are constantly turning. And where did we pull those influences from? Chris, you got anything?
I'm holding off.
You're holding off? All right. Yeah, because Chris like, hey guys, I do D&D. That's where we know. So
shut up. I do more than that.
Chris has. Let me tell you, I've been to a convention with Chris. Right, you're going to see this. He has the best pickup line for anyone that walks by the table.
Best.
And then like Jerry and I will be standing there like, wow, we're just POSs.
Yeah,
because I mean we're all at the same table. We all have this massive table with all our books. You know, we got Crit, we got the Elements, we got Dennis's stuff, and then we got the Pharaoh's Cribs too, all together, right? And it's all like an SSB mix. It's all this kind of stuff. And literally anybody that walks by, guys like D&D. Everybody's like, oh yeah, I love D&D. Oh, this comic's based on a D&D. That's how we do it. And that was it. They go right to Chris's end, and they don't even give two shits about the rest of the table. It happened like 7 times, and then so.
I did.
Jason was trying to come up with our own.
So later on, Jerry and I did a con together here in Jersey. And so I was selling some of Chris's books for me. So, that's what we do at the SSB. We'll sell each other's books at cons if the member can't make it, right? So I had some Chris's book. And sure enough, right, Jerry? Someone walked by and I said, you guys like D&D? and they're like, yeah, I love D&D. I'm like, this book right here is literally role-playing. Everything in this book, it's all based on D&D. And they're like, really? Buy 4 freaking books. And so...
the great thing about it is that it could be taken as a nerd thing and it could be taken as a sexual thing. So,
hey, you guys,
you're conquering like 2 markets.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm gonna try that the next con I go to. I'm like, you guys like S&M?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah. I'm like, well, I got a dude wrestling with a werewolf. It's like, you guys into furries? Like this whole book is like a guy in a tight seat rolling around with a furry. So
just stay. If you say the word fear, it doesn't go well.
Hey, when I started on Twitter, when I put in hashtag Bigfoot in my tweets, like I was getting furries and people into big feet. That was like who was coming to my feed immediately. Had to kind of work my way out of that for a minute there,
the evils.
It was pretty funny. Yeah.
So anyway, Jerry and I are trying to come up with our own kick, but Chris has the best pitch going. So. And it helps that we were at a con that was
a sci-fi con. We weren't even at a D&D con.
Yeah. But there was all right. Let's be honest. Next to our table was a guy who literally sold. What did he sell, Chris?
He was selling D&D dice,
D&D dice, and game sets, and of course, So I tried to replicate that. Jerry saw people walk by. I'm like, you guys like ninjas? And they're like, yeah. And then I'm like, you guys like werewolves? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, well, I got a ninja and a werewolf fighting each other. And they're like, oh, that's cool. I don't like ninjas so much. One guy's like, I like Ninja Turtles. So it didn't work. But anyway, okay. But so influences. All right. So we usually just go around. We're gonna start with the young buck, I think. I want to hear. He's the youngest of all of us, and I really am interested to see where you pull. I mean, I know I know just speak. Cameron and I have been talking for a long time, and I know a lot of his. He enjoys the classic Marvel and DC books too, just like all of us do. But so Cameron, I'm curious. What made you? And we'll start with this. I think what made you first decide to pick up a pencil or a crayon or a marker or whatever? What made you decide to want to just draw something that was your own?
That would have to be my good friends Matt and Eli Ramos. Shout out Popping Out. I had went to a free comic book day at my local comic shop with my friend, and Matt and Eli were there, and they had their whole setup. They were drawing characters on the spot and everything. And it was my first free comic book day with my friends, and we told them that. So they just hooked us up with a bunch of free gear and gave us free drawings and everything. And, I was just really inspired to, just create my own characters out of thin air like that. So in terms of like picking up a pencil and paper, it had to be those two guys right there that really got me going. Yeah.
Now, do you think that, I mean, when you want to start drawing, how was your art? Did it come easily to you, or was it something that I know right now you're very much a student of the game. I do know from our personal conversations and just seeing what you put up on your Instagram. You are studying anatomy. You study composition. You study. I know. But initially, sometimes it's daunting as an artist that you'll get out and you start drawing, and sometimes it's because it doesn't look exactly like, uh, you know, oh, there you go. What was the first thing you drew? There you go. We're going to talk about that. That's a good question. Good job.
That is a good question.
Yep. So sometimes you get like my child is a perfect example of that. Like she has artistic talent, but she initially draws something and she wants it to think it needs to look like what I'm doing. Not understanding there's decades of a gap there. And I see that it discourages her, and I have to say, I have to have a talk with her and say, this is practice. Everything you see is practice. You just draw what you can. If you draw, you're going to get better. And but still not there. So what is? Let's answer that question. What was? Do you remember the first thing you drew? Honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
First thing I drew was on it was in a composition notebook, and it was this like Dragon Ball Z inspired character.
Oh, Jerry just got excited. Yeah, say there he goes.
Yeah. Jerry over there. It was this Dragon Ball Z inspired character. It was that one, and then it was this really scary looking clown. I don't know why I have like just a really cool thing for Jerry doesn't like that one. I have a really cool thing for clowns, man, and it was just that.
I can't do clowns, bro.
At least I did the Dragon Ball Z one.
Yeah. There you go.
All right, that's cool. Yeah. In terms of where I was at, it didn't. Where I'm at now is completely different from then. But as my first piece, it was really cool to just put together a character out of thin air and name them, give them a backstory and everything. So. Yeah, there's always a little bit of self-doubt when you it's just a part of the process, but especially with this community, you log onto Instagram and you see all these creations, you just get really inspired to just keep going. So yeah.
And that's what I think all of us is that you can go two paths when you first encounter other artists, especially artists that more times than not, if you're just starting out, are going to be better than you. You either you're at that puts you literally at a fork in the road. You're either going to use that to inspire you, like you said, or you're going to use it to push you down and make you think like you can't do it. And I don't see that too often on Instagram, but every once in a while you do come across people that will, say, well, I'm not that good, and you got it. You're not going to be good, unless you put the time in. I mean, it's I think even. I know Jerry is a writer, but every single person here that's an artist will tell you, like, it's one of those things, like, if you don't put the effort in, it's definitely, you put the time in, you're going to see the result. As long as you are trying to learn, like you are, the fundamentals, and you're trying to, understand anatomy, you're not just drawing the draw and saying, I don't care to learn about the basics because I'm drawing my way. That's not necessarily a good or a bad thing. All right. I just saw the message, Dan. But yeah. So that's Cameron. Awesome. Like I said, and I really enjoy what you're doing. I understand that that you're watching somebody dive into anatomy and into basics is that, like, bro, that's everything. Because I see too many guys out there that don't give a S about anatomy. Like, they don't care. They
like
just
Rod
draw
Liefeld?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I wasn't gonna say that, but I mean, there's some other people. There's some other folks that I name, and everybody here would instantly know who I'm talking about. But there's some people that just don't care.
Yeah.
Don't try. And and I think that is key to everything. You need to constantly work at. It's a craft. That is what it is. It's a craft. Sure, there's some artists out there that are insanely talented. They pick it up like that, but there's also, it's still a craft, and to be good at a craft, you have to own that craft. You have to constantly work, and that's no matter that's anything really. Be proficient in anything, you got to work. So
you're not
that's a good answer.
Rob Liefeld this time. Normally on these things we have a session where we kind of like rip on Rob.
That's coming in 20 minutes.
Dan raises his hand.
Yeah. All right.
Is it my turn yet? Oh no.
Yeah, go.
You want to rip on
go.
Rob?
Rip on
Yeah,
Rob?
No. You raise your hand, you can go. We'll make this like school.
I mean, rip on Rob. I don't need to go on the other thing. I just wanted to rip on Rob Liefeld for a second.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, I just wanted to bag on him for a minute, but I mean,
I'm okay with it.
It hasn't been said. So
what hasn't been said in a long time is that he is doing well because his work is just.
Yeah, I don't know. You know what he had when I was a kid. I was a fan of his. I really was. And then
I think we all were. I think
and then it's just then you could just watch the drive went away. You know what I mean? And when he tried to get
once you start making all that money, and
but I mean, it was like shooting his pages off of his thumbnails at some point. Just this lazy factor, you know. I mean, there wasn't even going to inks anymore. It was just like I don't know. It was a shame, just a bloody shame. Plus, you know, I mean, like I'm an indie guy. Y'all are indie guys, you know. So if you were him, I mean, because I'm going to talk about him when it's my time to talk. Actually, if you were him, wouldn't you have more respect for your own indie work than just kind of doing the Deadpool thing all the time? That's just my opinion. You know, I mean, he created a bunch of stuff, whether you liked it or you didn't. He helped found Image, whether you like it or you didn't.
Absolutely.
You know, and all he clings to is Deadpool. That just bothers me as an indie creator.
Yeah, he hasn't gotten past the 90s creatively. It's like he made all these characters, and all you see him really promote are characters that came out then, and he keeps ditching projects every year. Like he was working on, I can't think of it. He had a book he was working on. I saw it come out recently, and he got mad at the publisher for giving covers to another store or something. They quote unquote broke his contract on something, but it had to do with allowing covers to go somewhere. It wasn't like they leaked the story or did anything. And he pulled the whole thing and made a big dramatic fest out of it.
The cover was a spoiler, is what he was saying.
Okay, so
but the problem was his marketing material that he was putting out for it was the exact same spoiler.
That
was somebody who just wanted out of what they were doing. You know, that's just my opinion.
What I love and hate about him is he's that guy that says, I know this famous person because they played a character that I had a hand in creating. Mm-hmm. When most people forget that the Deadpool that they like isn't the Deadpool he created, because we like the personality of Deadpool, not necessarily just the character design. I mean, we can have a whole entire, live about that, but yes, he created Deadpool. He made the design. He ripped off and did all his own stuff to make Deadpool. But the personality we like, he didn't create that. Same with Cable.
Yeah, that was the writers. Yeah.
Yeah, he was only on Cable for so long before he left. And his call to fame is X-Force. And it never will be anything else because he ditched Youngblood because he screwed the contracts on that. I could go on for hours on this stuff.
That's one of Chris's favorite books, by the way.
It's what?
Nick's gonna shave his head.
Chris likes Youngblood. Youngblood's
when we get to me, I'll talk about Rob on mine too, because I've said before, Rob's early work was actually inspirational to me.
Sure.
I feel like post early 2000s, he just draws the same thing over and over again. And the fact that his colorist for a long time was doing his hands and feet, he would get work without hands and feet on.
Was it the colorist or was the inker? Was the inker?
Or the inker, sorry.
Inker,
yeah. But now, with one exception, in the later after 2000, I don't know if it was after 2000 or before, but Rejects. Did y'all ever see that out of Awesome Comics? That book was incredible. That was like, I think, one of the best things he ever did, and it was a pretty interesting. I'll dig it up and show it to y'all in a second, but it was an amazing book. I mean, it really was. He only did like 2 issues and some small little things because he always ditched out for something else, like you were saying. But that work was really inspired. That was shot off of his pencils, no inks, but that was really inspired work. I was impressed with it. So for every crappy thing, I'll say about him, I'll give him that. So there you go.
Like I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna say that I haven't looked at Liefeld stuff before either. But yeah, I mean, you can't. It's just. I think it's more of the laziness, I think, is what the people associate with him now. And the hands, the feet, or let's be honest, it's also the Captain America that he did. That'll never get lived down.
I
ever.
saw somebody try to justify that on Instagram.
Bro,
they posted a picture of
way.
Arnold Schwarzenegger from like the mid 80s, 90s, and Arnold was doing a side pose. Now, I know a lot about bodybuilding.
Oh.
Arnold was doing a side tricep pose, and his chest was puffed out, and they were like, "Oh, well, maybe that works." I'm like, "No, because Rob's chest doesn't go past the stomach. Where when you're posing, your chest, if you have a massive chest like that, it's going to go chest and then indent and then abs." And anyway,
yeah, no, I know what you're talking about because they pulled it up on Twitter when there was a huge debate with like Comics with Perch and a few other comic noteworthy YouTubers. And they actually found the actual photo that they think he probably would have used because it matched up. It was that Arnold Schwarzenegger picture with what he probably would have used in terms of reference. But then when they lined it up, there was like so many anatomical incorrect things. It's like the head was off, like the spine and the head didn't connect, and the biceps were
it was
off to the side.
Like if you look at it, if you just look at the head alone, and you're like, oh man, where's that guy's head attached to?
But once the picture came up, people knew what he was going for. It was just badly referenced.
Yeah.
Well, I think at one point you can take that picture apart and see two different pictures, because I saw somebody where they cut it like right at the shoulder line, and you actually have like a chest and abs, and then it's like almost like he posed it one way that on here, and then he turned whatever he was doing this way, and so you get this completely anatomically destroyed, Captain America that. I don't know how that made it past editing and everybody else. And actually,
when you make more money than the editors, they have to say yes to you.
Exactly. I was just
that's Tom King to a T in DC Comics right now. Yep. He could fire his own editors.
You like that alone, like you see the Liefeld, right? Like I mean, you're talking about the anatomy's wrong and the that alone, Captain America himself is not that jacked. He's jacked, but he isn't like that. Like, I'm supposed to expect. I mean, I'm not talking from a lore standpoint. You're supposed to expect that guy is going to be doing all the shit that Captain America could do. Well, that guy came to wipe his own ass.
Remember that piece about anatomy when when you get that big, you can't scratch your own back, let alone do a backflip.
He couldn't even wipe his ass. No way. But whatever. And then that whole run, that was the Heroes Reborn run, right? Is that what that was? But all right, we're off track.
I don't know if that actually was in coincidence with it. I think it was just a separate Cap piece, wasn't it? Or was it Heroes Reborn?
I think he
had. But he had that eagle on the forehead. I'm almost positive.
Real quick,
go.
This is that's the book Rejects. Okay, that I was talking to you about. Okay, now you can see the signature right there, right? You see the Rob Liefeld signature I got on that?
Yeah.
Okay, you would not believe the face he gave me when I showed it to him like this. Okay, I had read this book so many times and looked at it so many times, the cover fell off. You know what he said to me? He goes, "I can't believe you did that with the comic," or something. He was not thrilled with me. Whereas other creators that I have met over the years, if I gave them a beat up comic book, they were like, "You must have really liked this book." So that was that story there.
Thanks, Nate.
I have his first New Mutants that he did. And it looks like that because as a kid, I just loved that book so much.
Sure.
I wore it out.
I think if you really enjoyed a comic, you're going to read it a shit ton of times.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
He gave me such a look when I gave him that beat up book.
He ought to took that. Yeah, he should have took it as a compliment for Christ's sake.
That's what I think. That's what I think. This is one of my favorite things he ever did.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
So I will never not appreciate Obi's story. And for those of you that don't know Obi, Reach in my book, and Reach, Obi went to a Comic-Con, met Rob Liefeld, got a book from him, went to the bathroom, took a video of himself pissing all over it. It was Youngblood. And then tagged Rob in it. And then they argued back and forth on Twitter until Rob blocked him. And then like 3 years later, Rob sang happy birthday to him on Instagram. And I absolutely love that story. Rob apologized for being a jerk, even though he had probably no recollection of the entire thing. But Obi's call to fame with him was that picture of him pissing on Youngblood #1, right at the con he got from him.
That's how you do it.
I love Obi.
Yeah, that's how you live true. Now that's the true mark of pettiness. I don't think I've achieved that yet. At least nothing I could talk about live that's incriminating. But so all right, we're off track. Big surprise. So anyway,
what was the topic again?
We're just talking about
Rob Liefeld?
Yeah, but we were actually talking about what was the first thing that if you can recall, that you may have drawn. You know, and it doesn't have to be the exactly first thing, but as far back as your recollection, when you decide to start becoming on a creative process, start drawing or writing or whatever it is. So first thing you drew, first thing you wrote, whatever it may be. We're gonna go D. You wanna jump on there? What was the first thing that you drew, D? Do you remember?
First thing. Well, I mean, I
Ish.
started drawing.
And what were your influencers?
Ish. First thing, ish. Yeah.
Probably it have to be like Ultraman, G-Force.
Oh
things
yeah,
like that.
boy. Ultraman
Those
and
are the-
G-Force? Shit. All right. You're talking my language right now.
Yeah, those are big influences, all those shows, and
Yeah.
I started drawing that. And all these obscure robot ones like Johnny Sacco and his flying robot, and some random ones that I used to watch, like the bootleg versions. But yeah, so that was probably what I first drew, and then like influences, really a lot of it was outside of comics, really, like well, again, the Saturday morning cartoons. I've kind of, people usually can spot that right away on my style. And then also like besides, obviously the picture Iron Giant has always been a big influence of mine.
Oh, yeah.
Even like like the Don Bluth stuff, even the games he did, I really love, like Dragon's Lair and Space Ace back in the day, and then
Dragon's Lair, aka the game that's impossible to beat.
Oh
yeah, bro.
Well, I finally beat it.
Oh my god, you're the man.
I got I had to get the home version just to beat it.
Oh my god! In the arcade, that was next level. That game, if anyone's familiar with it was literally like Disney level animation. It was amazing. And and thank God it was amazing, because you couldn't get past like level 2 in that freaking game, at least at the arcade, at least for me. And so it had to be appealing to the eye, because goddamn was that hard to beat. But
that game was the epitome of that meme of Fry holding the cash, going, "You shut up and take my money," because that's what that game was.
Amazing game. It was no. The only other game that I ran into that gave me as much of a problem as that arcade game was Turtles in Time. Like, bro, F that game. F that game.
Bro,
like,
yo.
I love Turtles.
Money I spent on that fucking arcade.
Dude, I go back to my parents there. I'm like, can I do like $5? I just gave you $5. I'm like, Turtles. I'm making Turtles. I like Turtles. So,
oh, man.
Yeah, it was unreal, man. Yeah. But all right. So Jerry, since you just spoke, you're a writer. So what's the first like story you think you wrote? What do you think? What do you think that was?
I had wrote when it comes to like comics or whatever. So first, my inspirations came from anime. I was always into Saturday morning cartoons. Yeah, big thing. So Saturday morning cartoons, I was into all that stuff. And then one morning I woke up like around 5 o'clock in the morning, and I turned on the TV, and that was the first time I saw Dragon Ball Z. And that just opened a new world to me. I was like, what the hell is this? Like, there's legit fighting.
Is there fighting in Dragon Ball Z, though? Are you sure? Because I just see a lot of powering up. I don't see a lot of stupid jumping from clouds and shit and spinning. I didn't see a lot of fighting. Are we watching a different one? Because I don't remember that. All right.
Okay.
I saw more fighting in Yu-Gi-Oh, bro. All right.
And then I feel like once I discovered that, that's when like the whole anime world started to open up, because a bunch of other anime started coming into play, like Shaman King, Techno Man, Naruto, Bleach, and everything. So when it came to writing the elements, I kind of drew from Dragon Ball Z, the Avatar, Naruto, One Piece, like all these animes that I was like so drawn to, you know. Oh,
there you go. Nate's dropping all the info today on
there
everything.
you go.
just
Nate's
join.
always on the ball.
I know. I don't understand.
Yeah.
Nate, do you want to join? I'll send you the code. You want to jump in? Just give me a thumbs up in the chat, but in the comments here. But
so when it came to writing, it was something that I guess I was just always pretty good at. Like I wrote something so good when I was in junior high school that it almost got me pulled out of my family's house because
you said good, right? Like
yeah, like
okay.
it was so
like,
convincing.
I'm like,
it was so convincing
all right,
that
like,
they wanted to pull me from my parents because that's how convincing it was. Because it was about writing a story about being like in an abusive family or something, and you know, and if you're not in an abusive family, just create something. But apparently, I created it too good that I remember the principal and the teacher pulling me out of the classroom and was like, Jerry, you won the contest, but we want to get you help. And I'm like, help for what? And it was like, what you wrote was just too detailed, was just too vivid and blah, blah, blah. And we believe that something's going on. So like my dad, my mom had to come to the school. You know, like
at that point on your drive, when you finally leave the school and you're driving home, your dad's like, "You ever pick up a pencil again?" I'll give you something to write about. I'll give you something to write about.
So I was just like, all right, I'm gonna have to really, I guess, calm down and be, you know, aware of what I write. So I knew I had a talent since then. You know, so later on, like I said, originally when I created the elements, I always imagined it more like an animation. Yeah. But we all know how expensive animations get. So it was like, I think the easiest route would be to go into making comics. You know, I grew up reading some comics and everything. I didn't have access to a lot of comics, just like the ones my cousins would hand me down. And you know, I figured that would be the best route to go now to start building up fan base and everything. And that's how I ended up getting into.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. All right, Nick, what about you?
Well,
because you write and draw, correct? Like
yeah, real messily, real messy ways. Yeah.
But
I don't know what you call what I do. Any of that though. It's
Did you start writing first, or did you start drawing first?
I was an artist first. That was a way of kind of dealing with the world around me. I do actually remember somewhat of what I was drawing real young, because I was growing up in the turtle phase, that huge turtle mania. There was no way of escaping that. So some of my first drawings were Ninja Turtles, and you know, you had the 1987 Fred Wolf cartoon coming out, and it just boggled the mind with, like, you know, the action Saturday morning cartoons. And then, you know, as you start getting older, you start discovering that the Turtles were a little bit more mature in terms of the comics. So that definitely opened up a whole entire new world. That the possibility of drawing a comic and getting into that sort of avenue really kind of expanded my scope and idea of what art was. And then I started discovering or exploring the idea of comics and the art medium in general. So then it kind of got into like Batman, Spider-Man, basically all the stuff that we would have come into. And then just like Jerry, you know, I ended up falling into anime and manga and Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, you know, those really early cartoons in the morning.
Badass. I watched
I definitely went through like a Liefeld phase where unintentionally was drawing like him, trying to mimic like the Jim Lees and Mark Silvestris and Michael Turners. Because when you don't have a really good grasp or concept of anatomy, you kind of fall into that Liefeld sort of place where you're trying to make things look dynamic. You want those cool poses, you know, just that sort of a look. You end up missing the weight of the image, the contrast, the lines, the shades, and you get kind of like a shallow, hollow sort of looking thing. And then, you know, it just kind of moved on from there. Writing kind of came later as a way to express certain things going on into I'm sure like the rest of us, you know, our day jobs aren't necessarily the most keen thing that we're probably in love with. So writing was just kind of a means to supplement the aspect that there wasn't many writers growing up in a small town in Minnesota. You kind of have to make do with what you do, and web comics is a great way to exercise in those areas. So I would say that was probably the earliest sort of way that I can remember when I was drawing early on.
Okay, yeah, that's awesome. And as I say, I think a lot of us share some influences. You're going to get a lot of similar answers here.
Right.
Hey, Jack, let's hear it.
Pretty much the same as a lot of you guys. Just started drawing at a young age. I didn't really take it seriously. I think the first thing I ever drew was, I don't know, I think I might have etched a penis on the school desk. I think that's where it all started for me.
Yeah.
So, honestly, I think I had more of a the earliest form of comics was probably my writing as well. I was always good at creative writing at school, so I'd probably consider myself more of a writer than an artist anyway. I'm not very good at art, so
Your art is great, Jack. I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Exactly. I'm trying, trying. But when it comes to influences and who drove me towards doing actually comics here in the indie community, I hate to give him credit because he's already got a big enough head. But Nathan, he's pretty much the reason why I can do this. It was one day I just kind of walked into the garage and he was there drawing characters and stuff. I was like, oh yeah, that's cool, So I started drawing with him, like the usual Spider-Mans and stuff like that. And then one day he started drawing, his own original character. And I was like, oh, that's dope as. And he goes, yeah, you should do it too. And then, he drew a character, I drew a character, then he drew another one, and then just kind of went from there to there. And then next thing you know, it's like, oh, let's make our own comic. And I was like, all right, yeah, cool. Just playing it off. Like, we're not Todd McFarlane or Jim Lee. It's never going to happen sort of thing. So we just kind of went about it, just, a bit of fun in the background. And then when COVID hit, we jumped on Instagram. And honestly, without sounding like a suck up or anything, the main inspiration for doing indie comics is basically all of you guys. You're like us. You all have jobs, it's a side hustle, but you guys are doing it. And, reaching out to Jason and then meeting Chris and then, seeing young Cam over there, his hustle's badass, man.
He is.
And Jerry, you guys have all released books, and then you guys kind of welcomed us into your inner circle, sort of thing. And then we meet the big shots like Dan and Nick up there. It's it all seemed real. You know what I mean? It's like, shit, man, these guys are doing it. We can do it. So. Yeah, I can honestly say my inspiration and where I get all my drive from is you guys like you. I don't really, originally I looked up to the big guys, but yeah, it's the little guys like us that, like you guys and all that. Yeah, it's pretty much it, eh?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, Jack, because when I got into the comic field, I came in naked. I was just kind of like...
There's nothing wrong with being naked, man. I'm still naked.
We all come in...
I'm naked right now.
There's a reason why my camera's off.
Yeah, I'm like,
I was just like,
same.
oh, wow.
Me and Nick are on the same page.
We're not in the same room, though. We're not in the same room.
I'm just wearing a shirt.
So, yeah, I had no idea what I was doing, and I was blessed to run into a few good people, like Concrete, that introduced me to like Jason and then Chris, and I started getting to know everyone else, and definitely I agree with that this group especially is a big inspiration to why I continue doing what I do.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Dan, let's hear it. What did Dan
the man?
What did Dan draw first? What does Dan remember drawing first?
Man, if I had to guess, it would either be Superman or Condor Man.
Condor Man. Oh, man, by the way, that was a bad. You talking about the movie, right?
Oh yeah, I'm talking about a fucking amazing movie that should never not be. It should be on Disney Plus now, so everybody can find out how amazing
that movie
it is.
Was so tongue in cheek. It did not take itself serious, and that was literally the best part about that movie. Any movie that does that is number one in my book because I forgot about. Damn,
that movie is
awesome.
Probably why I love the movie Mystery Men so much. You ever seen the movie
Mystery Men? Oh yeah. That's a great movie.
Oh, that one's a good one. Yeah,
those two movies are just like right here for me. But like, yeah, we had video disc back in the day, not laser disc, video disc that came out like post beta VHS, but like before the laser disc, we had that Condor Man on video disc. Wow. It was antiquated. Condor Man. There you go. So anyway, but
that's right up there with what was the other one? Megaforce.
Megaforce with the motorcycles.
Barry Bostwick.
Yeah, I saw that in the theater. I saw that
thing was intense.
Yeah, the dude with the hair and the
that was Barry Bostwick.
Barry Bostwick. That was Barry. Oh my god, my fucking mind is blown right now, dude.
I know, it's insane.
Sorry. That's Brad from Rocky Horror Picture Show to you and me there, Russ. Exactly. So anyway.
Old guys are talking.
Oh my god, that's amazing. Okay. Old bastards talking, exactly, right.
Yeah.
Okay, so big influences like right off the bat as a kid. Okay. Kirby, because like I love old 60s comics, and my dad really, we collected a lot of that together when he was still alive. We collected a lot of Silver Age stuff. So I immediately got into that. Bob Layton, those 80s Iron Man, books are just incredible. I love his work. I got to meet him when I was 10. He was a huge influence on me, and I've met him a couple more times over the years after that. And he's never been anything, but he destroyed my portfolio when I was 14, 16, something like that. He told me I learned some fucking anatomy. And then I met him again when I was about 35 maybe, and we were like tabling not far from each other at a Comic Palooza, and he couldn't have been cooler.
Hey Dan, just 1 second, second, and Dennis is
Check the token Asian, second Asian in the room. There we go. Yeah.
Celestial Knight himself.
Yeah, we need to get you guys on opposite sides of the screen now. So
I know.
Back to Dan.
I was getting nervous, man. Thanks for the backup.
Exactly.
What's up, Dennis? Okay, so Bob Layton, John Byrne, his Man of Steel run when I was a kid, that was amazing. Also, his Fantastic Four stuff was incredible. And then, oh my Lord, have mercy. That's a question right there.
Yeah, I tell you, there you go.
That's the question right there.
Wouldn't be Phalanx without it.
First of all, that's Saturday night. Today's Friday night. So calm down, Nate. Calm down.
It's Saturday in Australia, though. So.
Good call. It is Saturday in Australia. Well done, sir. Well done.
I learned that finally. So, all right, yeah. So, yeah. I mean, I think a lot of us pulled those same kind of influences, Dan. Yeah, for sure.
The just some current stuff. The artists that I'm just not current, but artists I'm currently digging right now. Always Frank Miller. He's universal for me. Bill Sienkiewicz, I love him. I got actually something funny happened with that today, but that's a whole nother thing. Francis Lionel Yu, I think, is brilliant. I always love Dave McKean's his covers, sure, but his interiors, like on Cages, is incredible, or what he did on Arkham Asylum. I went back and looked at that recently and just was blown away by his pencils in that. And James Herron on Ultra Mega is a walking god as far as I'm concerned. The guy's incredible. But like as an indie creator who influenced me, like truly, Eastman and Laird, they're the godfathers of indie comics as far as I'm concerned.
Indie, absolutely.
4 or 5 movies, cartoons, toys, sold it to Nickelodeon, and Eastman still gets to do the book however he wants to this day. That's pretty incredible.
Very incredible.
The original Image set, I brought visual aids. Yeah, so here's my Last Ronin art book that I just picked up a couple of days ago.
Ronin's been so good.
It's so good. It's so good.
Really
5th issue comes out in February. I'm stoked.
Freaking awesome.
And then like the original Image 7. Here's my Image Comics 0. If y'all remember this, you had to get take out coupons out of 7 comic books in order to mail this in and get one of these. So there you go. The other one, I like the ever amazing Frank Miller's Sin City. This book is, to me, this is a Bible for indie comics creators. Frankly, nobody writes it and draws it better than this in one package. This is your guy. Also, Ronin was incredible. And the other one, The Blueprint. I think The Blueprint for indie creators. McFarlane say what you want about McFarlane. He's incredible, right? I mean, the guy has done an amazing job with Spawn and all the things that he's, you know, the different books and, you know, the movie and the cartoon. He's incredible. But this guy's the blueprint. Mignola.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Mignola is, to me, this is 3 movies. This is how many books, how many people drawing his stuff for him now. Okay. He has made a franchise out of one character. That is incredible to me. So, like, yeah, I can talk to you about which artists and writers I enjoy looking at and all that stuff. But these are the people who move mountains, and that's the people who influence me. So,
well, we got Dennis. If you missed, we were asking, like, if you can recall the very first thing you may have drawn or created, you know, and then kind of like what may have led you to that, what those kind of influences were.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we're at right now. That's the question.
Nice. Want me to answer that, or are we moving to the next?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go for it. Yep.
Real simple, real quick. My older brother, who I couldn't stand, but everything he did, I would wind up following just because I was a little brother. He used to draw these cool cars, and it was nothing crazy. He used to draw these cool rims on them, and I used to criticize everything he did, and everything he did, I wound up doing 2 years later. So he started drawing these cool cars, and I was like, wow, it's a cool car. And I think I was like 4 or 5, and then I started drawing that same cool car with those cool rims on it. That was probably the first thing I started drawing that I can remember that was modeled after someone else who, you know, unbeknownst to me, was my brother, who I just wound up looking up to as we got older. But that's as far as I can take it back.
Yeah, good. That's yeah. I think we're all as little brothers. We kind of, I think that happens as because, you know, you can't tell your older brother that you think his stuff's cool because that's not your job as a little brother, right?
Yeah.
you gotta be a pain in the ass. Gotta be a punk.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got you. I feel you. So dun dun dun. Chris, you're up.
Oh, I'm up. Yeah. So
I mean, I could go, but
yeah, I'll go. I've been collecting stuff from around my room because if you can't tell, my room is just my nerd kingdom, and I'll show off the first thing that ever inspired me, comic wise, is right here, and Bill Watterson. Okay, if you've never ever read any of these Sunday comics, my dad was a huge fan of these, and these were all over the house as a kid. And it's the first like comics that I ever got into. And then he got me this, which I believe this is actually second printing.
Yeah, it's so good though.
No, first printing of the paperback, the trade. It has been through everything. I've had this since I was it was late 80s that I got this. Yeah. So this thing has been with me almost 30 something years. And so those are comic book related. The first time I ever wanted to draw comics, I really didn't know what the hell I was doing anyway. I just got some tracing paper and I went through this. I was obsessed with Wolverine as a kid. I just loved the story of the guy with the claws that ran around and fucked shit up. Didn't give a crap about anybody. Short little man like myself, so I really related to that. And my mother got me this book when I started drawing.
Oh yeah, that's a quintessential book to own.
So I started studying it, and then my father noticed I could draw faces really well. He said that my faces and expressions were better than some of the stuff that he was doing. And my father was my biggest inspiration because I've said this 100 times. The man could make a mural on a napkin. And so he got me into some more adult stuff like Spawn. I still have my first printing of Spawn #1 and Linsner. So Angry Christ Comics. It's very adult content wise. If you're not familiar with Joseph Linsner, Cry for Dawn, he worked on that comic for a long time, and I got to meet him a few times. My dad knew him, and so I got inspiration from all these different places. Never really thought I'd take it anywhere, and the first thing I ever drew of my own was my character of the Head, who was a teenager on a skateboard. And then he had his friend Kim Burnsley, who was a girl named Kim that I went to school with that could shoot fireballs out of her hand. Hence the last name Burnsley. And those were my two characters as a kid. I could never redraw. The head actually was a rectangle, and he had a little chin, and I had a square for a shirt, and I just drew him on a skateboard, and I had all these little comics I would doodle around. And then I made
it sounds a lot like a SpongeBob.
Yeah, it was like SpongeBob, kind of similar.
You were on to something. You were on to something. I didn't realize.
My friend and I made a rap about him. It was Mama Jua Bay was the name of the rap song. We were like 10, 11 years old. And that was the extent of my creativity when I was a kid. Then I got into music.
How does a rap go?
And I found Mass Effect and Star Wars.
I knew he was going to ask.
You have to do it now. You can't
What's that?
do that. How does it go?
Oh God, it was literally 25 years ago. I could not tell you. I just remember the term.
Come on, let's go.
Bay. It was on a
he doesn't remember.
Right.
It was a rap tape too. I played guitar and I rapped. I was 11. It was amazing. But as far as crit goes, it's like you like to make fun of me for, influenced by D&D, Mass Effect, Star Wars, everything nerd wise. I mean, crit is kind of a conglomeration of all of the characters themselves, everywhere from anime to, like I said, Star Wars. I've been told that Brad looks like something out of Mass Effect. I'm told Terrell looks like All Might with a color swap. And but my inspirations have always come from those originals. But lately, I don't know if you guys follow a lot of like the Marvel stuff. Paco Medina, I really enjoy his art style. If you are familiar with him, he's done some stuff for Marvel. He did U.S. Avengers. Dennis is shaking his head, so I know he's up on a lot of the guys.
He did like a lot of good Hulk stuff that I was following. He was amazing Hulk pieces. Yeah,
I really enjoy his gestures and how he does expressions. That's something that Crit really relies heavily on, especially since my characters are mainly in masks except for one. And I just enjoy how he does his characters. His hands, I sometimes question the hand drawings, but the rest of it, I really enjoy like facial stuff and just his gestures. So I've been trying to study a lot of his work.
Hands are hard to draw.
Yeah, I was just gonna say hands are like one of those things. Like, I don't know. I don't know if anyone does it without like some struggle. Maybe I don't know. Like, we live in a damn.
I do this a lot. I just
so do I. Oh, I'm always for real. I have 10,000 photos on this book of literally of my own hands that I've taken. Because it's just we're lucky to do that now because everyone's got a camera in their pocket.
Mm-hmm. So we're officially hand models. Just saying.
Yeah. Well,
I've been thinking about leaving the hands to draw for my anchor to fill in, but I ink my own shit, so like I'm kind of fucked in that one. So
anyway. I think like I said, I mean, I think we all use references in ourselves. I think if we needed something, I know I do. Like I said, I've said this before. Hunter's Moon is literally filled with things that I literally posed for. So, it's just one of those things you do, especially if you're working by yourself. And I mean, you can usually find things on Pinterest or Google or whatever that you can kind of pull inspiration from. That being said, sometimes you can't. You can't get exactly what you're looking for, and it comes down to you and your camera and your dog looking at you like there's something wrong with you because you're posing. Oh, that's me. Sorry, but that's what happens, and you're like, you gotta take these pictures, and then you're like, what do I do with these pictures? Part of me wants to hang on to them and just to make them their own book because they're stupid.
So I did start trying to draw before I started writing. Till this day, my brother makes fun of me because after I saw Dragon Ball Z, I tried to draw Goku. Okay, till this day, it's still the running joke because just like you said, I was trying to imagine looking at my arm, trying to draw Goku, like in a fierce pose like this. Goku had the tiny. You remember Scary Movies 2? This is my little hand. So Goku had a tiny little hand here, but then a gigantic arm over here. So that was like the most funniest picture I've ever drawn. I was like, drawing ain't for me. So
Goku's like my germs.
So One of the comics that I've ever got, my very first comic that I got that I've owned was this. Not that old, but was this. Okay?
Yeah.
This was my very first comic book. And I fell in love with it because it was just like, you give someone like Batman an ability, he's a fucking cheat. Like it's not fair. Okay,
Right.
so him having Wolverine's ability and becoming Darkclaw was just
that whole
insane
book was
to me.
nutty as
Yeah,
hell.
you
I
know. Then you got
But-
Superman with Captain America. It was just insane.
Well,
So because of what I do, recently I've been getting a ton of comics from people that's just been getting rid of them. Like they're like, yeah, I know you're a comic guy, so hey, I got comic books that I'm getting rid of. So I got like this X-Men, and I've got a ton of X-Forces and other comics that I've never even knew existed from Marvel.
Read them all, man. They're all inspiring.
That I have to literally sit down and go through, and I'm like, what the hell? A bunch of Thor comics and everything. So eventually, I'm gonna have to sit down and go through them and see what I got.
I have a box of Superman comics somebody gave me from work. Oh, you like comics? Here's a box of Superman comics. First thing I do, I go through the entire box. I'm like, oh god, there's any gems in here?
There's probably about 100 of the Death of Superman.
Yeah, I have all those when they came out. I bought every variant you could get your hands on. But so I'm going through this box of Superman comics.
At that point had
yeah. And then I saw they have like the Superman in the lightning bolt Superman. You know, he has the blue and red or whatever. He had the two different swap. I'm like, that's but whatever.
I had that. I had that book too.
Yeah, I was like, that's not even cool.
There was a story in the 60s where the Superman couldn't solve all the world's problems on his own, so he went into some like booth thing and came out Superman Red and Superman Blue, where they were like literally. And so when they made the blue Lightning Superman and then they made a red one, I was like, oh man, come on, you did this with Kurt Swan back in the 60s, man.
Yeah.
So
wait, so what was the story behind that? Why did they have the two red and blue Superman?
Didn't he get overpowered or something?
Someone told me that when they try to resurrect him, something went wrong, and he divided into two Supermen. And they
it was long after he had already come back when they made
it was their next big shocking thing they did because they always try.
We already killed him. Now he's electricity. You know.
Yeah.
We need somebody else to sell copies. So.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's like one of those things with Superman because I mean, God, the character's been around for a bajillion years. Like you got to really constantly come up with some shit.
Yeah, Superman became Electro.
Make him Electro, right? But hey, thank God for indie comics, right? Because we don't have to lean on 80-year-old characters, to read.
No, I think that's the best thing about
9,000 times
about indie comics. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
I saw some of the new X-Men stuff, and that's all I'm gonna say. As you know, X-Men was a pinnacle in comics in the 90s and the cartoon and all that. And I was going through some of their newer stuff, and I was just like, what is this absolute garbage that I'm looking at? I do one thing I really like about indie is what we have here. We have all these different inspiration, and we have all these different characters, and they all come from similar areas, but none of the writing is like the same. I mean, going from Bigfoot to even Jerry's work to Celestial Knight, like nobody here really has, and we even have two vigilante style characters between Jack and Jason, whose storylines are just completely different from each other in different worlds and everything. You don't get that anymore. That was one thing I really enjoyed about Image Comics when they hit back in the 90s. You had all these different characters that were just coming out of everywhere, like all this imagination hit. And you were like, oh, we've got Spawn, the dead guy who's, killing everything, but he's a good guy at the same time, and he has a shoelace through his head. That's freaking awesome. And then we have the different team ups they had, because they had different teams when they hit, and then that kind of went away, because of how that fame hit them. And then we got stuck with Land again. I got out of comics in the early 2000s. I just remember picking up, X-Men and going, where am I?
Yeah.
I do like Spawn still. I still appreciate Spawn because it's a cohesive story. They have had those little side things, but if you pick up Spawn 300, you're going to be able to at least relate to some of the story back from earlier, or where do you start? That's another thing I even appreciate about Invincible. You just pick up one series.
Mm-hmm.
That's the topic of conversation sometimes on Facebook is why is manga doing so much better than comics? And it's because we have a younger generation getting into stories, and they ask, well, where do I pick up? How do I know about Batman? Well, which Batman do you want to know about? Do you want to know about 52 Batman? Do you want to know about Rebirth Batman? Do you want to know about original Batman?
Big problem. There's nowhere to begin with what's out now. So indie comics is like you grow with these books now. So you're literally sitting here and you're like, oh man, I can't wait for Crit 5, or I can't wait for Bigfoot no Karate 2. Like you're growing with these books. Just like you said, if you wanted to follow Batman or Superman, it's just like I hear people get into arguments about these people's history. And it's like the sad thing is both of you people are not wrong. It's just what book did you read?
Yeah.
Like this happened in this book and this happened in another series. So no one's wrong. I just read two different timelines basically of this character.
Now we have the movies too, and the movies have different timelines. And it's just so confusing. It's like, which Spider-Man do you like? And then that becomes an argument. And it's like,
did you remember that the Joker was the one that killed Batman's family? That was the whole big connection.
Oh, and Batman 89,
yeah.
So
that's what I always thought it was, and then it was like, no, that he didn't do it in this book, and I'm all right. I'm done.
Jerry's all like, "What's a Joe Chill?"
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Joe Chill was really just. I love their Jokers. I loved when they try to tie everything together, and I think that's another problem too. Is not everything has to be tied together.
Yeah.
There can be just random occurrences. It does happen in the real world. Yep. But Batman sits in the chair and says, "Who is Joker?" Not once in my entire life of being a Batman fan, and mind you, my wedding ring, if you can't see, is Batman on it. That's a big of a Batman fan. This entire shelf next to me, I have Batman everywhere in this room. You've been in here. I've never once asked who is the Joker because I don't care. He's the Joker.
No, you don't care. You don't care.
So why did we need 3 Jokers to tie up some kind of crazy storyline? Like, come up with something original. You have some great talent, like artistic talent, if you just gave them the freedom to do stuff, and they keep funneling them down, and like they just cut a Wonder Woman storyline, given it probably sold like garbage, right? And the same month they dropped a Wonder Woman storyline, they put out 2 more Batman books that we didn't ask for.
Yep.
Nope.
So I'm happy to be part of the community where I can go on Kickstarter and say, okay, what book do I want to check out this month? And recently it was Bigfoot Knows Karate. Checked out Sunchild, and I still have to read your Santa Claus book. I have it. I haven't read it. Very excited to read the.
He's a demon hunter, which is different.
I read Demon Hunter at airport. I went through the whole thing because my flight was delayed. I read the entire.
Now that Winnie the Pooh is also public domain, I've been thinking about making him a demon hunter just to stay
I was
topical.
thinking about it too.
It's amazing.
Pooh's up for free. Like, as long as you don't use Disney's version of Pooh.
Yeah, he can't be yellow and have a red shirt.
Right, and I believe they still have rights to Tigger because Tigger was.
Yep, anything in the second book is off limits because that's still within the copyright realm.
Hey, Winnie the Pooh and Piglet was in South Park, so.
Yes, yes, Jerry.
That was hilarious.
Amazing.
Oh, I was also supposed to say my biggest influence right now is Robert Nix. So if he's actually listening, he can get off on that. There you go.
Real quick, you can use Piglet in the public domain now.
No, you can't use Piglet.
Oh, because I was going to do Piglet Knows Karate, but forget it now. So,
I think Piglet is still off limits, guys.
Look it up.
It was just Pooh.
I mean, you're talking about the characters right from the A.A. Milne book, right? But not anything that the Disney related stuff.
Here, I got it. Here's my perfect pitch for my next book: Pride, Prejudice, and Demon Hunters.
There you go.
It's a
They already
classic.
did that before with the zombies. Yeah. You can,
I like
do whatever you
this
want.
comment.
Yeah, the 100-acre wood.
Yeah, the other characters they're going to be under copyright until 2024.
So
just 2 more years.
As
Hey,
long as
we
you
all
just
just
start
take,
producing it now and don't publish it until 2024, you're good.
can we take a minute to appreciate Dennis's hustle right now as his pencil is going ham
Listen.
on whatever
Yeah.
he's drawing?
How about that? There we go.
Yeah.
All right.
We can hear.
All right.
You can hear it. Yeah. It's like everything. He's like
right there.
I think shaking the camera. He's going to town over there.
You guys get me motivated, man.
That's good, man. That's
Got me going. Got the juices going.
But,
That's
awesome.
Oh, Chris, just because I know you're a big Claremont fan. Black Friday, I picked up every X-Men issue that Claremont wrote because I can't read anything current. Everything current is just absolute trash. So I kind of went back to my roots. I was like, you know what? Let's go back to old Claremont, Cocker and Byrne. And I bought all, and I should have told you guys, Black Friday, everything on Marvel, the website was like dirt cheap, like $1.99 for like omnibuses. And I just bought them all just so I have something to read. Now, the storytelling is completely different. Like I was trying to like read it and then equate it to the Celestial Knight. But it's very like Stan Lee prose, you know, like True Believers and very like bombastic. So I'm not going to write that way. It's not the way I write. But it was just cool to go back to like, you know, you're going home and you're reading Claremont at his best, Byrne at his best. But not that I took anything out of it, but I did feel like, you know, this got my juices flowing as far as, because there's nothing like right now that I can really latch onto. It's almost a struggle. Like I don't want to spend $6 on a 22-page book that is complete toilet paper, you know? So like, just a word of advice for any of you guys look for some great stuff or you guys want to go back to nostalgia. Whenever there's like a holiday, like MLK Day is coming up, you know, check out those sites because you'll see a great deal and get some of this classic stuff. You can't beat that stuff. That's the stuff we grew up on and the stuff that made us who we are. So just a recommendation out there.
There's a special on Prime about Chris Claremont. And if you, I get inspired by like the behind the scenes stuff. It's one of the reasons why we had the audiobook and some of the other things. I got really inspired by watching that and hearing his take on it because I was always a fan of his writing and a fan of the comic books he was part of. And finding out that he came from film school and was putting his ideas for film into the X-Men and thinking long term, if I kill this character, I don't want them to come back. It reminded me a lot of like Jesse. You know, Jesse went from film to comics, and you know, you can tell in kind of the storytelling he has. It's very cinematography, whatever, whatever. I can't think of the word. I'm brain dead.
Both will work. But,
yeah, it's a word about cinema. But
there you go.
Watching that interview with him was really inspirational for me. Going back to those comics and thinking, oh, so when he killed this character, he really, he was pissed when they brought Jean Grey back. You know, because in his head, you know that. You don't have how do I put it? There's no risk. You know, your characters die all the time, and you don't have the value anymore. And like you know, talking even about modern cinema, they talk about bringing Robert Downey Jr. back all the time. We see that, and I'm like,
that
you can't do that. You can't bring that character back ever, and just retire Iron Man. You know, use War Machine. He's a great character with War Machine. A great story arc too, if they really go heavy into his story. But you don't have to bring Robert Downey back to have a good story. You can just let it be. And that was what I really liked about Claremont was he just wanted things to die. I mean, it sounds dark, you know, but characters can be retired. Create new ones. Like Jubilee was, although they destroyed her later on, I really enjoyed Jubilee when she first came out. I don't know what they did with her after the 2000s. It became garbage, but
there should be some absolutes in comics. Like you don't need to know the Joker's name. You don't need to know Wolverine's origin. Bucky stays dead. I don't know what this Winter Soldier shit is, but anyway,
that was and so Jason Todd was supposed to stay dead too.
I like the Winter Soldier.
That was my favorite Marvel movie.
You know, but I mean, Bucky stays dead. Have another character be the Winter Soldier.
Movie.
Fine.
Okay,
but like, yeah, no, it's just, you know, one of the things that I'm doing with Bigfoot Knows Karate, that me and Casey are doing with Bigfoot Knows Karate, is that damage counts.
Yeah.
You know, when you know, damage counts, and those battle scars don't rub off after 3 panels.
Nope.
You know what I mean?
Nope.
And that we want to take this character and make him very different from the first issue to the last issue. Like that character will go through such a metamorphosis and change that it will be very unrecognizable from the beginning to the end. And, you know, and yes, characters should die and characters should be retired and like mantles should change, passed down. And you don't have to have 55 people on the Batman team, for crying out loud. But that's a whole nother story.
I think that's a good question you just came up with, Dan. Basically, what have you learned from other creations that you do not want to put in your book?
Bucky stays dead. I mean, that's
so you want characters to stay dead. That's your thing. Because my thing was
to stay dead.
Yeah, because my thing was, and this also goes to the negativity of Dragon Ball Z. I cannot stand irrelevant characters. If you have a team or you have characters that are there fighting or helping in any situation, it bothers me when they just become so irrelevant that they don't even do anything no more. Like, there's no such thing as the Z fighters no more, to be honest. It's Goku and maybe Vegeta from here and there. That's it.
Cheetah.
Every other...
Vegeta's had a better story arc than Goku, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. But at the end of the day, it's always
actually
Goku.
being a good husband and dad. And Goku has just been a terrible dad and husband the entire time.
You know, but you see someone like as Krillin or Tien, like dudes that train on a regular basis, but it just got to the point it didn't matter how much you train, you're never going to be relevant. So just hit the bricks. Like, you're useless. Or someone like Gohan, like things like that really, really bothered me. And that's part of the reason why when I created the elements, I was like, there's no leader. There's no leader. Out of the 4 brothers, there is no leader. They just work off of each other, just like in real life, because they're based off of me and my best friends. We literally in real life, we just feed off of each other. Like, as we're dealing with situations, we're kind of bouncing ideas, blah, blah, blah. And that's how I'm going to push it forward. So that's my biggest pet peeve. So what about you guys?
Well, I gotta say though, like, props to you with the damage meter, Dan, because I did it in book 3 for Crit. I drew them all at a table, and what I did was I planned the book way far ahead. I planned to have the damage show up as you go through the book. So for those of you that have book 3, if you look at them sitting at the table with the damage, I drew all this damage on them. I was like, yeah, they got their ass beat. This is great. And I'm going through the book, and I'm like, but they wouldn't have it here. And so every time something happened, you'll see the cracks show up. And I would go back. I drew a panel where Austin's getting bit by the dog on the arm. And I was like, well, later on, they see him with, early on in the book, I need to draw that. I had to go back and redraw entire panels with wrapping around the arm to show the image. But it's D&D, and after 8 hours, all that heals. So,
well, look, I'm with Dan. I'm a huge. You go back, and if anybody has Hunter's Moon, look at Hunter's Moon. Damage counts in my book. Like my character will carry, and I am so detail oriented about it. It's in every damn panel. Mm-hmm. If it happened, and it's unless using my character as an example, his suit will repair itself to a certain degree. But if it's an existential, it's like really a crucial. I mean, it carries all the way through that book. Every scene that you see him, I make sure it is exactly the same as what was prior. Whether that's blood, whether it's tear, whether it's hair hanging out of a torn mask, or anything. Like, even recuperating at the end of the book, all that damage is still there. Whether and like I drive realistically, there's times that I could as a writer and artist, I could step away and not do it as much as I do it, but I drive myself nuts with it. Like
because you come back and you're like, look at something and you're like, oh man, that was supposed to be there, and you have to.
I won't call a page done until I go back and look at every single page I drew leading up to it to make sure it's consistent. And
That's smart.
I just do that. Yeah, it's also time consuming and nutty as hell. But
Right,
I do
but
it
you're not
because
you're not going to get caught with your pants down right as you go to press and notice some shit that I did recently.
You know what is it? Like I know this is going to sound kind of oxymoronic, but I have a character that I try to, as much as I can, base him in reality. Like the things that he does with his weapons, really, his pistol and all that kind of shit. That's shit that I can literally freaking do. With the handgun and all that stuff. Like I won't make him do something that I know realistically most people can't do. Whether he's got special abilities and all this kind of stuff. Like I try to keep it as real as I can. For a comic book, you know what I mean? And I, like I said, I drive myself nuts with that. And like this new book I'm working on, like just so you said, damage counts and dead is dead. Dead is effing dead. I'm telling you right now. So
you got to tell me though. Are you going to have the
so?
Is there going to be a Duke slap tally? That's what I need to know.
There is.
It's going to be like that small counter up in the top.
Hey, listen,
genius.
He might be able to count them on 4 fingers. Do you know what I'm talking about? But he might. Yeah. The good news is he won't need another hand to do it. So, but yeah, so like, and that's me. Like, I try to base these in realism. Like, these are, so I get what Dan said. Like, I very much follow that, and it's, but again, it's just because I've read comics where even Batman, who sometimes you like to think they ground him in some kind of realism, with because he's a man who does hand-to-hand combat with other people. But they'll do it 3 panels later in the same scene. It's all magically it's gone. You know what I mean? And I'm the kind of guy. Yeah, and I'm the kind of guy even though as a kid I would read it and be like, wait, there was a tear in his suit here, or he was missing his belt, and now he's got his belt.
That's bad editing.
I hate that shit. Yeah,
that's really bad editing. Yeah,
absolutely.
I do it with TV. I'll be watching that.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Don't even get me started.
Hey, look. Yeah. Their hair is Bad Boys 2 was really bad about it, especially the scene with Will Smith and the girl under the bridge, and they're talking, her hair kept flipping directions, and then they had different shirts on, and I would just rip that apart. Well, like I'm working on book 5 right now, and when I started drawing Bones in the book, I'm like, crap, this happens directly after he gets his ass handed to him by Boulder, and in the scene, because somebody I know looked at it and said, you need chunks of this flying off, and I'm not going to point at any. However, this guy over there, this guy was like, oh, you need all these things flying off, and then I go to draw in book 5, and I'm like, well, Reach hasn't been around to fix the suit, so now I've got to draw this damage in every single.
You're welcome.
Book 5, I'm doing that. I'm like, did I add in the damage on the chest from Bones? Okay, cool. All right, we're good.
Yeah, I told you it's nutty. That's your problem. You should have listened to me.
But well, at the same time, though, I think it's a quality thing that us as individual creators, we have that passion for the quality of our books. I know me as a person. Just in life, I've always been, if it's going to have my name on it, it's going to be the best I can do. And that's like every book I'm going through. And if I picked up a new technique on page 30, I'm going back and I'm adding it to the rest of the pages. It's time consuming, but I think at the end, the feedback I get from everybody always makes it worth it. Like hearing just the smallest thing from somebody, oh, this was cool. And then going back and remembering, oh man, that took me 4 extra hours because my dumb ass put it in there. But I'm glad you liked it.
Man, quality counts.
Quality. Like what you said about before about you're that way with like watching TVs. Like I'm that way when there's any. And again, whatever your viewpoint is on firearms, but every time for a guy who makes a living with them, it drives me nuts when somebody racks or cycles or cocks their firearm for the 17th time without ever discharging the gun. Like you'll see it all the time. Like, or this person's like they're a police officer or they're or a hitman, or they show up and they got just for a story. You see they rack it, click. I'm like, wouldn't that gun be hot already? That gun would be hot already. Like this, it'd be ready to go already.
Yeah, but it's cool.
But it's cool. You gotta rack it. Yeah, and I was like, oh my god. That shit drives me nuts. My wife won't watch any movies like that with me. She's like, just stop it. She goes, it's a movie. I was so terrible about that, but The Walking Dead was one that I was really terrible with. And my wife's like, it's a show about freaking zombies. And you're freaking out about the guns? She's like, you're freaking out. Because I was so pissed off that every shot's a headshot in that show with a pistol from fucking 200 yards. I'm like, really? Everyone's a tactical specialist with a handgun? And my wife's like, Jesus Christ, it's just a show about zombies. So I get a little stupid like that, but
everybody's got their little pet peeves.
Everybody does. Yeah.
Terminator 2, she cocks that shotgun like every 5 seconds.
And no, yeah, exactly.
What was that in Terminator 2?
Yeah, it was behind the scenes. Apparently, the dummy shotgun was busted. That's why she had to do it like rack it with one hand. Was because she had to use the like gravity force to actually make it rack. Like it was broken, so she couldn't use her hand on it or something. And she was complaining about.
I was just watching it the other day too.
Yeah.
How'd she do that? How'd she do that? How'd she do that with her one hand?
Yeah.
Check it.
He's not falling for it.
I saw your eyes, Jason. You looked at it. You're like,
Chris has racked a shotgun.
I just saw Jason's eyes go like, okay.
Yeah.
I love talking about firearms with him because I'll say something and it's just like talking to Brad because Brad's the same way, and they'll roll their eyes at me and
poke the bear.
Yeah.
It's just
like calling it a clip when it's a magazine.
That's right.
Good one.
What about you, Dennis? You have something that you've seen in other creators that you're just like, I gotta make sure I don't have this in my book.
No,
Crayons.
Well, okay. So guess what? So I was gonna bring this up because you guys share your pages all the time. Like you guys are showing this and showing that, and I've been really quiet on story, what this is about on my pages. And as I was driving today, I was thinking, do I share it with you dudes? Like just to see full pages. And I shared a little bit with Dan the other day about my ads page, shared a little bit with D on the ads page. And part of me is like, I don't want to share it with you guys because I want to hit it with you. I want you guys to read it and have the reaction. Like with Chris, when I read your book and I saw that ad for Boulder with his kicks, and I threw the comic book across the room. Like I want that reaction from you guys. And part of me doesn't want to scold it.
It was a complete mistake, and I thank Nate for fixing it.
No, but that's the visceral reaction I want from you dudes, not from the people who bought my book.
Well, that's the same. Yeah, with the Easter eggs, they didn't Hunter's Moon. I didn't tell anybody I put them in there. I just put them in there.
Yeah, but I'm so like
I want
proud
you guys
of them.
to see them.
Yeah, and I want you guys to see it. And even just not if I took my ads page out, which is a blast. If I just did normal pieces in there and I send you the pages, like I want you to have that wow factor. The part of me is like, do I share it with you guys? Do I not share it with you guys? And I've been holding back because I do want that wow factor. I know Chris will get the first run of it when he does the lettering, and he'll see it for first time. I want to get, I want to get his reaction and his like thoughts on it. But for all you dudes, like I really want it to just be, and I'm aiming to wow you. Like I can't tell you how many. I did a page and I was like, man, this page is ridiculous. Do I show it to you guys now? And I'm like, no, because I want to blow you guys away. Because it's not even just the audience. It's like you guys are my contemporaries. Like your guys' opinion, for better or worse, is like, I hold it at a higher value because, like you guys are, I've been following you guys' footsteps, let's be honest. So the standard is high and I really want to blow you away. So I've been holding that back. Back to Jerry, to your question, what don't I want to put in there? The easiest question is, the easiest answer is agenda. I don't want any agenda. Yeah, Agenda's out the door. Like,
amen.
Talked about this
Thank
before.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No way.
Yeah,
no
and
way.
I've heard Jack go on about this.
Yeah,
I've talked
I
to
won't
Dan
ever do
about
it.
this. Yeah, and Dan's great about it because he's like, you don't like it, don't read it. It's that simple. Like,
I actually spoke to Dan a few days ago, and we got into the topic about that. What I've actually experienced myself about these topics, and it's just like, all you can do is just keep moving forward. You're gonna find people that's gonna try and bring topics into it. It's like, well, I'm not about that, so sorry.
And there's so many books that have that, so you just don't buy them. Like, and it was kind of like I was so torn because I'm still, Mr. Fanboy, but Dan put it so simple, like, you don't want to hear it, don't buy it. I'm like, oh yeah, he's fucking right. Like, wow, that's correct. And it made my blood pressure like drop like 6 points. I'm like, oh, he's fucking right. So I stopped buying all these modern books. So I know when I wrote my book, I'm doing it like I know where it's going. I know where issue 2 wants to go. I know where issue 3 wants to go. Okay, agenda's right out the door. Trying to take it back to basics. What I loved when I grew up, that starting from home, starting from the planet, starting from Earth, starting from the neighborhood, establishing the Celestial Knight as a normal dude. He's one of us. He's got a stupid dog, and then starting to learn his origin, starting to learn his powers, and how is he going to become what people think he is? People think of him as space. People see him as Rom, just like you said, Jason. He's that kind of guy. He's going to be that guy.
I love me some Rom, though.
Yeah. How is he going to get there? So I'm establishing his base. Why is he protecting the Earth? Why is he out there in the stars and in the galaxy? He's coming from Earth. How was that established before I just throw him into the stars? But yeah, agenda was the biggest thing. As soon as Jerry, you said that, the last thing I want to read is about someone's agenda, someone's point of view about some topic that I just want to read fucking cool stories with some violence, maybe some dirty jokes in there, something that's going to make me giggle, something that's going to make me throw the comic book across the room and be like, that was fucking awesome. I gotta let my friend know about this. I say if I'm going to put one thing, it would be agenda. I'm trying to think of, as an artist, what I don't like to see. There's so few artists that I like follow that are so good. There's maybe like 3 that I'm like, oh my God, you got to pick their pieces up. But they're mired down in stories that suck. So it's kind of like I read it and I'm like, this sucks. This isn't the character, but the art looks so cool. Maybe I kind of, not that again, the 90s boy, I go back to the Image days where, man, we were so invested in those creators. Like wherever that creator went, I followed. And now I don't have that. There's no creator where I'm like, if he jumps to this book, I'm like, I gotta follow him. There's very few, maybe 1 or 2. I miss that. I miss following, and I'm a big Liefeld guy. I bought a bunch of like Liefeld stuff, and I miss all those, following that whole Image crew. So much outside that crew. I don't know. I guess those would be my 2 things as far as looking back at what I don't want to include. I'd love for people to say, hey, look at the Savage Sandbox. What are those boys doing? I'm gonna follow where they go. Their next book, their next member of their crew. That extension, like I want us to, not that I want us to be Image, but I want people to have that feel.
That was one of the biggest things when we all went to that Comic-Con thing in North Carolina. Like, you remember those guys we met, those 3 creators?
Absolutely.
And they had that fan club that was following them to like whatever convention that they went to. And I found that so like inspiring. Like, I can imagine having that. That would be so like, I think I'd reach a new level if once I get something like that. That must be an incredible feeling that they have.
It's like when when I was playing music, our record label used to showcase its bands. We would do label showcase, especially when we got a new band on. It was a great way to introduce the fans of the existing bands to the newer band. And so we would be on tour and we'd have to like coordinate all these different bands to hit one place at the same time so we could do a label showcase. And what was really cool about it was we were the metalcore, whatever you want to say about us, and we'd go play with the screamo band or some other like poppy band. And because we were all on the same label, people would be there to check us out, and we would grow the fan base into fans that probably wouldn't have checked us out elsewhere, or we wouldn't be able to play with. And I think that's kind of cool about what we do here, because if you look at just the panel we have going on right now, it's all different creators with different things to offer. Yeah. From Nick's artwork to Dennis's artwork to Jason to Jerry, all of us have a different style in our books. And I know Dan and D, you guys are new to the stream and all that, but even your books in the indie community, they stand out on their own. And we have kind of our own Instagram crew, is what I call it. And so if I tag you guys in something, or if I share something from you guys, I feel like people that check out Crit are going to enjoy that. When people ask me what should I check out, and I shout out one of my boys' books, like, you know, when Nick was coming out with a new book towards the end of the year, Jason was working on his, and we had, I mean, Burlap. I personally, I've always really enjoyed Burlap even before just the SSB, so I like to shout that book out, and people go check that out. I'm like, oh, that was great. Like, I want more of that. And that's what I like about our group, you know, the SSB. I want people to do that. I want that fan base. I want that stamp of approval. You know, like, if we're going to, and I said that from the very beginning when we first started the SSB, there is a level of, we won't just take, and I'm not saying it because I'm wearing the t-shirt, but a crayon artist who's sitting there doodling all day and they have no desire to really create something. If we're going to promote it on the SSB, or we're going to share it as even part of our friends groups, it's going to be stuff I know you're going to get a book 2, a book 3, a book 4, and so on. Because that's what we lack. You know, when I go to comic book stores, the big pushback on indie books is you put out one book and then we never see you again, right? And why is that? Why do we never see you again? Because fucking making comics is hard. Okay, it's not easy. I thought it was going to be easy when I first made my first book. I was like, you just draw a bunch of pictures and put some words on it, right? No, it's not like that at all.
Hell no. The amount of money that it takes just to go, because you're looking at someone like me. I do the writing, so I have to literally pay an artist to bring my image to life. I've always told these guys when I first met them, it was like, hey, if my book makes it big, it makes it big. That's a blessing. But I'm always going to make my book. Nothing's going to stop because I'm doing it for me. So I literally had to work it out within my paycheck. Like, I'm getting paid this. I'm taking $80 out and I'm paying for 3 pages. And that's exactly how I brought my first book to life before I even went to Kickstarter. And then going to Kickstarter is what's helping me create the second issue, and then the third issue, and et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, it's not easy at all. Like, it's
Nick
all about your
Mueller, who puts out 45 books.
Yeah, like fucking, I don't know.
Another one today.
I don't think Nick leaves his house. Like, he's in a dungeon right now in a ball and chain, just popping images out.
Have you guys been watching me lately? How do you know that? This is getting scary now.
He's not on camera right now because whoever keeps him in the dungeon is afraid that he might find out where he is.
I'm telling you, man. Like,
I've been putting out coded messages for months and no one's caught him yet.
He's using smoke signals to try and get out.
What about you, Nick? What do you want to make sure that's not in your book that you've seen from other stories, you know, TV shows, etc.? Even something that you might like, but you're like, you know what, this one thing I really don't want in my book.
Yeah, so we've kind of touched base on it a little bit, so I think I'll just expand on it a little bit. But Dan, Jerry, Chris, Jason, you guys, and Dennis, you guys have all hit on this to a degree here, is the lack of consequences in current day mainstream comics. We have heroes that don't grow anymore. We have constant recons. We have too many universes that are now colliding and merging into each other that story, character, engagement don't matter anymore. We're not rewarded for our reading anymore. In fact, we're almost punished for it. We don't age out. We don't bring in anyone new. We're punished for even reading, as some people said, agenda, propaganda, whatever you want to call it. There's just no focused. There's no focus to it anymore. And that's kind of why I ended up going more towards manga, like what Jerry did. Is, you know, when you're reading, let's say, One Piece, Bleach, or I could name off a ton of them, is that it has a single creator focused narrative, and it's telling it through the lens of what they want to achieve, but it has to have a follow through. Most of the time the characters stay dead, depending upon if the story is interacting in that way. There's just too many times where I've read a mainstream book, got hooked on it, and then found out that it ends up basically going nowhere. You know, Batman to me was such an amazing character, and it goes nowhere now. It's constantly regurgitating the same storylines, the same ideas, How many times can Batman's back be broken? How many times can we reintroduce the Joker in a new way? It gets old, and it doesn't bring in new readers. It's just to sell variant covers. I know variant covers sell books now, but I'm all about reading them. I want to read them. I want to engage in the story, and I think that's also some of the things that we fall into the Kickstarter meta. Is I know guys that put out like 12 covers, and that's how they make their money on Kickstarter. But then we have cost of production that hikes up the cost of everything. And I think all of us here can say we want people to read our books. We want them to get engaged. So for me personally, the whole entire point of the Divine Anomaly, which is showcasing Sunchild, Crusader, Radiant Rapture, Demon Hunter, Raven, is to bypass all those mainstream, just illogical sense of things. It's to treat it like how the MCU treats its storytelling, is that it has a beginning, middle, and end. Well, hopefully it's going to have an end. After Endgame, who knows what's going on with their multiverse shenanigans. But the idea is to reward our readers, make them feel invested in it, and not throw them out the window and say, we're done with you. We've gotten your money. Peace out. It was good, but sorry, we're done catering to you now. So as a creator and as a reader, I want to expect the same thing on both ends of me. When I was reading Spider-Man and we got to the one more day storyline, I just noped out right there. I said, no, I'm done. You don't get my money anymore.
It was One More Day or Brand New Day?
Both, I think, because
Yeah.
One More Day is where it ended, and Brand New Day is where they started it all over.
Brand New Day was like because I was so intrigued by what they were doing, like showing Peter Parker's identity in during Civil War.
Yeah.
I was like, how are they going to get through that? How are they going to get through that? And then, oh hey, Mephisto, we're done.
Yeah.
And whatever it was, and they lost me. I was done.
It was bad planning, bad direction. Just the whole entire thing made it terrible. And I think that's why the MCU is hitting so many strides right now, because it's telling serialized stories in movie form. They're the comics we grew up loving. Now maybe they've changed a few things. It's got a different face on it. It's got a new coat of paint, but it's the same structure of those early days when Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko, and Stan Lee were all sitting there creating these new worlds, and we were all excited by that vibrant, exciting, just this wealth of potential storytelling and new characters to explore these realm that they were putting before us. That it was inevitable. There was so many opportunities that you could explore, and that's really the thing that I want to harken back to, is the ability to explore new ideas and jump back into this idea that they're heroes, they're saving the day, and they're not here to preach to us. Unless that character believes in that sentiment and that idea, I don't want to feel like the writer's coming through and exposing through the character. So that's really kind of where I'm coming from, because I just got sick and tired of wasted time reading Spider-Man, Batman, and then coming to the point of going, these stories never end. They regurgitate the same thing over and over again. I'm never going to be satisfied. I might as well start putting out my own thing and be satisfied by it.
I think that's why I fell off the Spider-Man movies, because I felt like every time we were getting forward, they started a new Spider-Man now with a new actor, and I was just like, all right, I can't keep watching the same shit over and over. Like,
it's poor
keep
planning.
repeating it over and over. Like, I would like to see Spider-Man get to the point where he was known to be damn near invincible, because that's how much he's mastered his abilities. But now it's just like every time we get something, oh nope, he's getting bitten by the spider again. Yep, we're going back to all that again.
And some could say that even Dragon Ball maybe has this sort of ongoing, that it never ends. But there does tend to be a character growth arc in it. Like, there's people are having families, relationships are changing. Inevitably, these characters are probably never going to die because of the cash amount that it makes. And it's a huge vehicle for them now. But I like the way that they've kind of gone around that obstacle of going, well, we can't reboot it. We have to continuously keep evolving the characters in the story. Our fans expect that out of us. So I like how they've kind of figured out that predicament. And I might not like the execution of it so much, especially in Super. Some of the degrees of the story isn't necessarily told that well. But I do like that it feels like you're getting growth, even if it's artificial to some degree.
Yeah.
I like that I don't feel like I'm getting cheated, especially with Spider-Man. We've devolved into basically going back to high school or the college sort of format of telling the stories.
Yeah. I agree.
I mean, if we never aged up Spider-Man, we wouldn't have those great Michael J. Straczynski stories with John Romita Jr. Those stories really set a tone and built up a whole entire new status for Spider-Man. And he aged with his audience. That's one of the great things about in manga is if it starts with a young audience, the creator will age the series along with its audience. So if they go as a young kid to a teenager to an adult, it's no longer like a shonen; it becomes a seinen, and it becomes a more mature-based sort of audience-based content.
All right. What about you, Jack? Oh, were you gonna say something, Chris?
I was just gonna say with like anime and consequences and stuff. I really enjoy Full Metal Alchemist. The story itself always brings you back, and it stays. Although it gets crazy at some points, it still stays grounded to two brothers. And I think that storytelling that they've always done was very inspirational for me a long time ago, even before I started doing the comic books. I always wanted to do like an inspirational story about just that brotherhood that it had. It just, you never had to worry about relationship drama and all this other stuff. But I'll answer mine in a second. But when you're talking about anime and things, I really got drawn into storytelling from the Japanese aspect with Full Metal, and then my daughter and I really enjoy My Hero Academia a lot, and Black Clover, like those three titles.
Black Clover.
Yep. Although Black Clover is just a magical version of My Hero Academia to me.
Yeah, it is.
With the voice actors, exceed your limits, but they're still fun. And for what it's worth, I really will always have a soft spot in my heart for Death Note. I've seen the original Japanese live actions, and even though second season fell off, first season was immaculate. But Jack, I'll let you answer that.
Like Nick said, you guys pretty much touched on all of it. Like, first of all, I'll start with like character development. That's very big for me. The thing with Colt is he's nothing. He's not special. He doesn't have powers or anything like that. The way I created him has everything to do. Everything special about him is his growth as a character. His story. His weapons he gets, so on and so forth. I have this thing where I hate these OP characters. It's pretty hypocritical to say as I've got a Superman figurine in front of me, but Superman, he's just so overpowered. You know what I mean? Like, I hate those sort of characters. Even Goku, the same. He just every time a new villain comes along, he just magically powers up. On that anime aspect, like you look at Goku, he just kind of, gets these powers because, whereas Vegeta, he trains his ass off. He does this, he does that. So I kind of relate to Vegeta a little bit more than I do like Goku in that aspect. But just character development, that's big for me. And again, Dennis already said, like, I'm real big on like political agenda and all that. Like I can't stand these big, the big two comics anymore. Everything's politically driven. We've got like gay Superman now, gay Robin. It's like, I don't really think that's what comics are about. Well, for me anyway, it might be for some other people. That's great. That's your opinion. That's cool. But for me, I just want to read comic books because they're cool. They're an escape from, our shitty reality. Like, a lot of us guys are here right now because of what COVID did to us. We had nothing to do. So it was our escape from, everything going on around us. So we created our characters. Chris came out with Crit. Jason finally had time to sit down and do the Convictor, all that sort of stuff, So I really don't like that. So, and I see a lot of creators and stuff like that in the big two and that, where they're like, they get cornered by like, why did this character do this and why did they do that? And they always have some political answer to it as to why it happened. Me, if anyone was to ask me that, like a question like that, I just want to be able to sit back and go, I did that because I thought it was cool. And that's why I'm doing comic books, because, I just want cool shit. We live in a shit world and everything goes wrong. Bad things happen every day to good people. It's just, this is my escape and I just want stuff to be cool. That's my answer.
I hear you, Jack.
Hell yeah, Jack.
What about you, D?
I miss Jack being around more often, but
For real.
Yeah, definitely, Jack. We definitely need to see
I
you
just
more,
want
bro.
cool shit.
There's a reason. There's a reason I've been a bit quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Jack pretty much summed it up right there.
I just want cool
Yeah,
shit.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of what I just wanted to kind of bring it back to what got the excitement I got into comics and, cartoons and stuff like that. And there, no secret agendas or anything like that. It's just more about like kind of like making you forget about what's going on maybe in your own life at the time or anything, you just kind of go for a thrill ride or whatever, and that's kind of what I'm trying to do with Kid Nebula, kind of just keeping it fun and fast moving, and you just kind of get caught up in the characters and the story without worrying about all that other stuff, and then about the absolutes you guys are talking about, growing up in the 80s, there's only one absolute. It might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, but you're going to die of dysentery, basically, from Oregon Trail, right? That was like, as a kid, I'm just like, we're going to all die of dysentery eventually, but
I'm surprised you survived.
So
Don't forget typhoid, D. Don't forget typhoid.
This is getting dark.
But yeah.
Oh man.
Comics was always a good escape, and talking about what we want to see in the comic books. I've always just wanted to see fun and wanted to show, like for me personally, with my books, it's always about keeping the focus on my characters. I think in some titles they'll get too far off on things that don't matter. Jerry, you touched base on that. Why introduce a character if they don't matter? Yes, they're in D&D. There's tons of NPCs that don't matter. They're cannon fodder. But if I'm going to spend the time developing a character, I want them to matter. Speaking to what D said, that's like, and Jack, there's so much crap in the world. I don't want to open my book and be subjected to more of that crap. It's on my Facebook feed. It's on my Twitter feed, Instagram, all that stuff. I want to open up my books and I want to escape from that. And I want to enjoy them for what they are. And I want people to read Crit and see a group of friends going on an adventure, growing together in this new world that they're creating. And that's what Crit's about. I do want, I never want a reader to feel, and when I'm talking about things I don't want that to happen, because we've had to, modify the story because it's D&D. There are modifications to what we've actually done. I don't want anyone to ever read a Crit book and feel the way I did when I watched, Star Wars, the Episode 8. I mean, we talk about emotion and influence in Star Wars. I watched that as a kid. I've had the VHSs. I've had, I was a Star Wars kid through and through. Figurines, you name it. I was mailing in to get the Boba Fett figure. Like I grew up on that lore and enjoying it. And when Carrie Fisher died, and I go to the movie knowing that Carrie Fisher's dead, and I see her float off into space, I am not ashamed to say I started to get teary-eyed, because that character had been with me since I was a kid. I knew she was gone, and I said to myself, what better way to send the character off than into space, where I was first introduced to her. And I'm watching it, and I'm all like choked up, and like I'm not afraid. Like Brad was sitting next to me. We were both like, "Oh wow, this is perfect." And then they shot her back in that ship. I lost my shit. I said, "Fuck this movie." The rest of this movie is a pile of fucking trash, and I will bitch about it until the day I die. I hated the rest of that movie. I don't care about their little side quests that did absolutely nothing and degraded a character that they were trying to build up. I will bitch forever about that fucking movie. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. And I never want someone to read my book and feel that way. I never want that feeling. And I worked really hard, like looking into the future. And the reason that movie sucked the biggest dick in the fucking industry is because they had no plan for that entire multi-billion-dollar trilogy they were putting out. They had no fucking plan, and I'm sorry, I'm pissed.
Go, Chris.
That comes back into what you guys were saying before about letting characters die. Like Chris just said then, that character, she had the perfect send-off. Like it was it. People were They were happy with it. Like I said, Chris got teary. Like that was it. Like people love to see heroes go out like badasses. That's why everyone loves Tony Stark the way he went out.
Yeah.
And the character's dead. Let it go. Like that's probably the most amazing moment that they had. And you want to bring them back for a cheap money grab or to revive the series? Yeah. It's like no, you've ruined it. You've just ruined it. Like just say they do bring Tony back. Him taking the Infinity Stones and snapping fingers. He knew he was going to die. It was the ultimate sacrifice. It was the full. Like he'd done a full story arc there. From what Captain America said to him in the first one, he said,
"Yes,
you're nothing. You're not the guy to lay down on the wire." And he did. He did it. He did it. That's perfect.
You can't take that away.
He did. That's right. But if you go and say he's up in some spaceship, up in up in space, he's on this sword place, whatever the fuck it is, and you bring him back, it's like, it meant nothing. Like it's still selfish to him. The character's dead. Let it go.
Guys, listen. I've got the perfect idea. Tony Stark didn't die at the end. He's hiding in a mountain somewhere, alone, depressed because he's just tired of all this crap. So then we're gonna send in a new recruit, and he's gonna be really mean to them, and then he'll die.
Sounds like something they would pull. But again, the agendas that have happened with properties I enjoy. And we can bitch about gender swaps, whatever. I don't care about that stuff. At the end of the day, I just want quality storytelling. Yep. And I took that anger that I hold on that one property, and I said, okay, as I know, like Crit right now, I think we're recording book 30 next session. I know where the story goes, so as I'm writing in my head, I'll call Brad or I'll call Terrell and I'll say, hey, this happened in this session, but in 10 sessions from now, this happens, and it kind of contradicts a little bit. We need to fix this. How are we going to fix this before it happens? I read an article today, a Marvel writer, I forget which guy, is about to, ditch off of X-Men, and his plan for a character was to have these two characters be in his head the entire time, and then he screws up his writing in one book and has somebody recognize them, and the entire story arc he built up for an entire series is shot because of one line of dialogue, because he didn't plan it. And that's what I want in my books. I want the plan there. I want people to know that this story, even though it's based on D&D, the reason I'm 30 books ahead of myself writing wise is so when I present this to you guys and you read the story, you get to actually experience it the way that it's supposed to be done. We've retconned certain things, so we've introduced characters in the game. It's D&D. My friends show up or they don't. We get to fix some of it. I don't want anyone to be deterred from a story because this character should have fucking died and they didn't. Sorry. I get a little bit angry about taking my favorite franchise and turning it into absolute garbage. And the fact that Boba Fett had more training in one episode than Rey had for 3 movies, but we won't go there. A little bit salty. I have no problem admitting that one. But that's what I want for my book, is the people never to... I want them to throw the book because they like it, like Dennis did.
Yeah.
I never want them to throw the book because they hate it. Okay? If there's something that happens you don't like, I'm sorry. Well, that really fucking happened, and there's a reason for it. But I never want to have that angst against the story. I'm sure we all have something, especially now with how, and I hate to say this to you guys, all of us, how old we are. We've seen so much of our childhood, like nostalgia-wise, get destroyed in the past 20 years. They keep bringing things back that they shouldn't. Ninja Turtle is a perfect example. They fucking destroyed that too, and they don't respect. Even if you take the original He-Man series, that whatever you want to talk about with how it's lasted. As a kid, I used to wake up every day and watch He-Man, and they destroyed that. They can't keep that stuff anymore. Yeah, don't even start the new fucking.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah, but I'm about to get mad about that.
I hear it. Like you're getting a pulsating pain going.
It's chest day.
Twitching
every day. Is chest day.
Here's the thing though, like whether it's Batman or He-Man or Star Wars or whatever, like at some point, like because it came out in during our childhoods, we feel like it's ours. Okay. And the people who own this, that's theirs. And they want our kids and our grandkids and all those people to dive into it. And if that means like putting an anime manga look to Star Wars or something like that in the future, they'll do it. You know what I mean? And like they're making it relatable. I don't know. At some point, I just kind of like I kind of throw my hands up in the air of it all and go, they're not making this for me anymore. You know, I had my time in the sun with this, and it's not. You know, I wasn't thrilled about all the things they did to Star Wars. I haven't even seen Endgame, so you know, I mean, like I know what happened now, though.
Tony lived.
Tony lived.
Joking.
Captain America stays young.
But like that's
he really
thing.
did go
like,
to a mountain.
It's not. I guess in the end of the day, it's like while it's ours, it's not about us anymore. You know, and like as far as the powers that be are concerned. Like they're just trying to move units, and in an industry that's been, you know, people complain about the comic industry in decline. Comic industry has been in decline since the advent of the home video game system. Okay, like the moment you got to be in the game and not flipping the pages, you were in the story. I think that's the day that comic books started declining in sales to begin with. But there's a lot of reasons for that's happened.
You make a good point there because they actually talk about how we're fighting hardcore for attention right now. And video, the minute we lost the young boy demographic to video games, it immediately shifted the whole entire industry for us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, I mean, so, you know, there's so many arguments on that whole thing. I can even go into all that, but like, you know, just let's have, you know, the big thing in the end of the day is we got to have some fun with this. You know, we got to have fun with comics. We got to have fun with what we're doing in order for that to translate to the audience, because it's up to us as creators to get people excited again. I mean, you know, because there's so many people who are at our age level who are irritated with the big two. There are people who are younger than us who don't even know anything about this world, you know, about the world of comic books, because they are manga, anime, video games, that whole thing. So we're fighting an uphill battle, but like if we can bring something different and interesting and unique to the table, I think we got a fighting chance. You know what I mean? And in the end of the day, isn't comic books just like the thing that, you know, they pilfer through to come up with cartoons and movies anyway? You know, I mean, we're all fighting for it to be like, you know, an IP that, you know, catches people's attention. So it's like it's a really weird thing if you think about it, because we do comics because we love it. But what's the end goal? To continue doing comics because you love it and just go broke, or you know what I'm saying? Or so it's funny to, you know, like we all have day jobs, right? So we do this because we love it. But don't tell me that all y'all are looking at this in the end in an end game going, all right, I'm going to retire on this shit on my island. You know what I mean? Because we're all working towards
maybe
that.
Chris.
If I have an island, one day.
Yeah.
But I don't like water, so I don't know what happens.
My money's on Chris.
What about you, Jason? Was the damage thing the only thing? You want to make sure you're consistent. You want to make sure your comic is on point with.
Well, I'm gonna touch base on the agenda thing too. I remember someone asked me when I was doing one of my earlier crossfires, and they're asking questions, and somebody said, do I have an agenda in my books? This is before Hunter's Moon. I was working on Hunter's Moon, I believe, and like I would never do that. And I said my only agenda is to tell a really, just like with Dan said and with Jackson, a really badass story. That's all I want to tell. I want to tell about this character who I think is cool. He has no political leanings. He hates everyone. You know what I mean? He like, you know, there's none of that. And I said, if I had a president that was, you know, of the United States or whatever, that was going to be in my book, it wasn't going to be a Trump. It wasn't going to be a Biden. It wasn't going to be no matter what my political leanings are, I'm going to make up my own goddamn president for my own universe. And, you know, I'm not going to try to pitch my story to fit, to fit a certain I won't do that. If it means I have to take a square peg and smash it into a round hole, I will. And because I refuse to take that square peg and make it round so it fits, I won't do it. And I just won't do it because they ask these questions because they know my job, and they know that that I have an interest in firearms, and so they try to get those things out of you and ask these questions. And I'm like, I won't do that to my comics. I'm not going to taint the story that I created because I want to fill a social or political agenda in it. I won't do it. And the
You know
same
what's
reason.
funny, Jason? I think it was on
Yeah.
one of your lives too, and I want to say that someone just appeared in the comics, started watching the lives, and then they started asking you about when are you going to create like a gay character, or do you have plans
Yeah.
of creating like a gay character?
Yeah.
And it was just like, I mean, if you choose to, you choose to.
Yeah.
You don't
Right.
choose to, you don't choose to.
Well, the
So
thing
that
is,
person
like,
is trying to get you on that
I don't
agenda.
create a character saying I don't sit there. I don't create my characters because I want to check a box.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I don't do that. You know what I mean? If I create a character, and as a creator, most of us are, you'll create it. You already know when you're in that early creative process what that character is going to be. You
Wait,
don't
you
sit
guys
there and
don't do
go,
that?
yeah, no, sorry.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I don't sit there and go, hey, you know what? I need an LGBT character. No, I don't have to. That's not my first thing I think of when I come up with a character. Now, the more as I develop the character, I might say, you know what? Maybe this person would be this way, and that's
Hmm.
character development. And
Right.
yeah, I'll never check a box like that. I refuse to do it, and I just won't do it.
That sucks that you get pigeonholed that way, Jason.
Yeah.
Though that somebody would
They
come out
tried.
swinging like
They
that.
tried,
That's
but
yeah,
they asked the wrong goddamn person.
Yeah.
right.
That's the thing. Like, unfortunately, if you don't know me and you pop in here and you're gonna try to hit me with a loaded question, it's not gonna work in your favor. Because I am.
Why I didn't have any female characters, and I said because I don't have any female players.
Yeah.
Like, what am I supposed? I mean, eventually in the story, because the story called for it, I was able to create females, and we talk about the death of characters. There's certain characters that can't die by design. It's Dungeons and Dragons, so I can have fun with some of the way that the characters are designed. But I don't ever present a character in the story to check that box. I mean, I've actually had that conversation with the guys. I said, hey, I have all these NPCs that we have there that are this way or that way, and I could change one real quick. I could gender swap any of these characters real quick. And they're like, yeah, but your accent for that character was this Italian dude that made us laugh. I want that Italian guy in there because it's funny. It's an ongoing joke that everyone in New Orleans in my universe has an Italian accent because that's the only accent I can do. There's that D&D meme. It's like the DM's talking about how he only can do one voice, and so all of his NPCs have one voice, and that's me. So if that's an ongoing joke and they find it funny, I don't want to change it for an audience because I feel like at the end of the day, if you make your comics for you and say things that you enjoy, then other people will as well. And if you're a person of that community and you make that character for you, then more power to you. Like that. That's how I think about it.
I was asked recently about the Tridents gang in Resurgence, like how that if I did because they're all diverse backgrounds and diverse, individuals. Like if I did that on purpose, because you have every you have people of different ethnic origins, in that crew, and I'm like, no, that's just how they've always been. Like I didn't, but now that's a shame. Like you put anything out now, and people are thinking that, like Hong Kong Philly, he was always Asian. He just was. I didn't do it because I needed an Asian guy. I didn't, or I didn't do, I didn't make Juice because I didn't have African America on the team. He always was, and that's the shit I can't stand because like they send me a question, and I know it wasn't a pointed question on purpose. It was just saying, hey, I noticed, because I think it came up with, I don't know if it was Nate's cover that they sent to me or was a pinup that Robert Sherwood did. But they said, I noticed that the characters are all varying. Is that intentional? I'm like, no, that's just who they are. Like, I know it's not intentional. Like, there's nothing intentional about it. And like, can I say, like, in my universe, I have one character that kind of checks multiple boxes. She's got red hair. She's a ginger. She's a woman, and she's the B in LGBT. So but it's just that, and that was just through developing her character. You know what I mean? Like, I don't set out to do it. I just don't do it. And but people do, and that's it. Like, that is what kills. That is what's killing mainstream comics right now. Shit like that.
Chris was just telling me that we should start pandering for money and we should start advocating and just start checking out those boxes. Are you guys getting different messages than me?
I did. I sent Nick a side message telling him that Chris will start pandering. And the next issue, Spectre will be female. Actually, it was an ongoing joke. I always said that if I ever killed Austin because he didn't show up for a game one day, and I was like, all right, I'm going to kill your character, and Spectre's now a female. We're gender swapping.
But I mean, you know what? The funny thing about it is that me, as a Black creative, I've also gotten in on both ends as well. Like, I see that, and it's honestly, before I even fully developed like the element story, Concrete was part of the reason why I was like, this is the direction I'm going. Fuck everybody else, because they're also Black creators. So a lot of the backlash that I used to get was that my characters didn't represent the Black community enough. Like, I guess because my characters, they more anime like instead of Black people like. So to me it was like, but I'm still a Black creator. I'm still writing. This is still my story. Why does it matter? And listening to Concrete, that's the way they do their thing. Like, they have Acolyte, but they're like, his focus was, I'm here to create stories. I'm not here to mess with agendas or what people are looking to, to create about my character. I'm here to create the story. And once I heard that, I was like, exactly. That's exactly the direction that I'm going to go. I'm going to continue creating my story. Yeah. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, well, then, like you said, don't buy it.
Don't buy it. I mean, that's
you don't have to buy it.
So can I be devil's advocate, even though I'm on your side on this? So we're all a bunch of, however you want to, tag us, straight males, that kind of stuff. So if you hire a bunch of individuals who are LGBTQ or activists and all that, and you hire a number of them, 4 or 5, and I'm just using like the X-Men group, their whole crew, just like us, we're gonna write what we know, what we feel comfortable with, what we can what we know, what we've been raised on. So if you take a bunch of them and put them together, and they're gonna write what they know, it's no different in the sense that we're writing what we know.
No.
Yeah, isn't that? I just think it's so interesting. Like, it doesn't interest me because I don't feel they'll be. I think the line that I see that's just drawn is they're not sticking to the characters. Whatever agenda you're pitching, cool, but you're not sticking to Wolverine. Like, he's a fucking badass, and he doesn't sound like and he's not that dark brooding character I grew up with. But you get even if you could stick to that character, and through your agenda in it, at least that character be the same. But that's where I think it's being lost. And part of me is just like, just so we could write what we know. They're writing what they know, and I'm not going to hate you on it. But it's just the line that's being crossed is these characters aren't the characters we grew up with.
Yeah, like, you can create your own character.
Exactly.
Like,
that's what I was just going to say. If somebody else owns that character, you write it. You write
create the correct character. I'd read it. Great start. I'm gonna read. Like, it doesn't matter to me. Create what you know. But even me, like, it's like, I don't want people changing characters. Oh yeah, we're gonna make a Black Superman, or we're gonna make a Black. No. Create
but
something.
They made a new Superman. They
literally made a new one from another Earth.
They made a new Superman,
and that's fine.
It was like the conversation somebody brought up about Superman's son being gay. That people love to just, I guess, stir the pot. They're like, well, how do you feel about that? And I said, well, they did exactly what I've been complaining about. They made a new character. They didn't just say,
they didn't do this.
Who's been around for 50 years is all of a sudden this way. They said, hey, we're going to make a new character. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. It's a new character.
I had a family member come to me about that and say, well, Superman's gay. Well, I was like, well, I don't read the book, but I do know this. It's a different character, another Superman.
Yes.
And that's all you can really ask for in that situation. But like, and the pendulum swings both ways. The pendulum swings both ways. We getting upset over here for what's happening with mainstream comics. Understood. And then over on the other side, there's just I'll put it like this: there's a shit ton of fury over a fucking funny book.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know what I mean? There's too much. I mean, if I I listen to a lot of podcasts, right? I listen to a lot of podcasts. If you ever listen to podcasts on YouTube, they'll kind of like roll over to the next one, right? And you'll hear stuff that's because I don't want, like I said earlier, and y'all have said that y'all have repeated that I've said, I want to make a book. I want to make something that people are going to enjoy. Keep my agenda, your agenda, our agendas out of it, and let's just tell a really interesting story. And then it just gets muddied up along the way. It's just because everybody's got an opinion, and everybody thinks their opinion rocks, and that it doesn't, and it's sad because this is this medium that we all love, right? And the fact that we have to sit here and talk about how basically it's being politicized is a fucking shame. All right, because this is the most pure thing that I love from like we talk about these franchises that we love from our youth, with He-Man, Star Wars, whatever, Condor Man, G.I. Joe. We talk about these things because we love them. I mean, we love them from our youths. But this whole thing, this whole making comics, that's the most purest thing that I feel from my childhood. Because I used to sit down when I was a kid. Jason, you used to make your comics when you were young. How many of us took a piece of paper, folded it in half? I made Condor Man comics from the age of crawling, because I'd watch that movie on repeat and just would draw him jumping off the Eiffel Tower like a badass, because that's what you do when you have wings and you're a comic book artist or something. But you know what I'm saying? And that's pure. That's pure. And when it becomes who'd you vote for, and now I can't read your comic anymore.
Yeah,
or
right.
It becomes it's like we've lost the point. And what really hurts me is I see all these these longtime professionals who have gotten into the the politicizing of the industry. All right, thank you. Yes, and then it's really weird. And it's very sad. And we're just, me personally, I think taking a side on any of that stuff is just cutting your market in half. It's like, which from a business person, for business mind, we're here to get eyeballs on our books. We're here to see our products grow and have a really good time drawing these things and writing these things, whatever your role is in the book. So I hope that one day, I don't know, the world's on fire anyway, but I hope that one day we're able to come back to center on that and, and just enjoy the medium for the medium. So that's it. Soapbox off.
Well said.
I think to kind of start wrapping it up, I just realized we're about 2.5 hours in.
Yeah, right, almost 2.5 hours.
Because I think this is also a subject for its own show sometimes.
Yeah.
But to wrap it up, like Dan said, some of the stuff that we love is just not made for us anymore. And Dan said that multiple times. We're emotionally attached to these, and it hurts. So we can bitch in our groups and have fun with it. But at the end of the day, just create our own characters. And I hope that we can just speak with our money, put our money where our mouth is. And eventually you'll see some of that stuff filter itself out, and maybe we'll just see them make new characters and we'll get some of our characters back, or they'll just kill them all off and start their own new universes, and we'll be out. I'll be happy. Marvel and DC will go bankrupt, and all of us will be millionaires one day selling Convictor 550. And
I'll be dead. I'll be dead long before that ever happens.
Nicholas Miller presents his 55th anniversary of whatever character he's done in the last 5 minutes, because I'm sure he's written 2 books while we've been on here. And
four books.
Oh, there you go. I really do hope to see everybody, not just on here, but in our individual, groups, because we all have outreach past, this, 8 of us on here. I hope everybody is successful in what they're doing because they have a passion for it. And that's what this show really is about, is getting the passion out there. I think it speaks for itself. we're angry about certain things. Me more so than others sometimes. But I saw the 10:30 mark, and I would like to give everybody a couple minutes or a minute or so just to talk about your brand, what you're doing, where you're going. Just take like a minute or so. I'm going to start with Dennis, and we'll let D talk because D is the new Dennis. Apparently, he doesn't talk.
Yeah.
So, and then we'll go to Jack, who's never really talked. I love him. And I love having Dan in here now because me, Dan, Jerry, and Jason will all fight for some screen time. So, Dennis, kick us off with what you said earlier. You've been quiet on social media. And so address people.
Yeah, just trying to get the book out. I have so much stuff I want to show, but I've really been pulling it back. I do want to put an update on my book. It went from 28 to 32 real quick.
I know that feeling.
I felt when I started counting the pages, I was like, I'm pulling a Jason on this one.
Yeah.
The
Surgeons is gonna be any different.
I mean, you just can't help it. I did my ads page. I'm so pumped about the ads page. I gotta show somebody, but I don't know who. But if someone's gonna see it, because I'm so pumped about it. The book is getting. I know, Chris. I know. There's so many good shit that I'm putting this. I'm really putting as much as I can into this one book. So just an update. I'll drop an update for those people who supported the Celestial Knight. I'm starting to wind it up. I'm counting my months. Like, man, I'm over by this. I got to get this done. I want this out by the time we hit conventions. I'm making my list as conventions who I want to sit next to. We're gonna rock it. I have so much I want to do this year, and it's my job kind of is a bit much right now.
I know that too.
Yeah, I think all of us. I was actually, when I was driving in, I'm like, I know D's on board on this one. Work is killing me, but this is not going to stop me from finishing this book. So again, 32 pages. I really want to wrap this baby up. Chris, you're probably going to see the first couple of pages shot to you. Just got to share it with somebody, and you're going to see it in the first no matter what. So it's really not going to break the bank if I send it to you first. But my ads page, I need to get somebody's feedback on this because it's so good that I got to show it to somebody. But that's where I'm at right now. I don't even know where to go with this. I'm just really glad to be on this. I feel like we should do this more. I feel like there's so much we can talk about.
I'm so energized.
We're doing it every day. I'll make that announcement right now. We are doing phalanxes every month.
Yeah, and not only that, I didn't get to say hi to Cameron. The fact that D's back here, that Dan's back on, that you got Nick on here, and Jack. I'm hitting the screen, Jack. Where you been, Jack? Jack,
real man, Jack, dude, Dennis, man.
Jack, I need a weekly, monthly dose of Jack. I'm sorry. It's just, dude, you're from the ground up, dude. We need you back in the fold, dude. But yeah, I'm rambling. So to the next person.
D.
Oh man. Where do I start?
Follow that.
You're sorry.
Well, I mean, thanks. First of all, thanks for having me on the show again.
Always, pal.
It's been awesome. I'm always fired up after this, ready to pull an all-nighter and start working on Kid Nebula. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I've been posting not as regularly as I was pre-Kickstarter, but I'm basically kind of putting out teaser panels that I've been working on without giving away too much, just kind of teasing some stuff. And I'm always getting these DMs like, how does this fit into everything and all that. So that's kind of what I like, keeping everyone confused. But yeah, and I'm still on target, I think, for the February release, barring any weird setbacks, which I'm kind of probably expecting a little bit, kind of bracing for impact, but I'm moving along and just trying to make it the best book I can. Since this is my first one, I definitely want to make sure people are excited about it as I am after they read it and come back for the next one, because I already have the next couple issues already kind of roughly plotted out. So that's kind of where it's at. And hopefully this year, I mean, I'm kind of been already waitlisted, but hopefully be able to hit some cons and hang out with all you guys.
Yeah, man.
Jack.
Jack, you're up.
Yeah, just first off, I just want to say, like what Dee said. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Love getting on with you guys. It's been a long time. It's good catching up with you boys. Update on Colt. I've been getting a few messages, and I can officially say that Colt goes to print on Monday. I've spoken to my my printer. It goes to print Monday.
Hell
so
yeah!
It's Saturday here, so 2 days should be there. That's really happy. I can't wait to get that in my hand and send a whole heap of Colt shit out to you guys. That's going to be really cool. I'm coming back onto social media now. I had a bit of a hiatus. I had a lot of stuff going on personally, but kind of getting through that now. I've got a big year ahead of me personally and with Slate Comics. I'm looking forward to all that. And again, thanks for having me, guys. Thanks for putting up with me.
I'm sure everybody can agree with me, Jack. We've missed you. We're glad you're back. Whatever you were going through, I'm glad. I'm hoping everything's good for you. But we're always here and we love you, dude.
Hell
That's why I love you, boys. These are the best.
I'm fucking just stoked that Colt's going to print because I've read it, because I lettered it, and I'm kind of like,
freaking loved it.
I hold it in my hand.
Yeah.
Thanks, boys. Appreciate it. Can't wait to get the physicals out to you.
Jerry.
Yo, before I get into my whole comic book thing, I got to go off topic real quick. This is a warning. So I'm not tech savvy whatsoever, okay? One of my Sifu, okay? My sensei, my trainer, okay, kung fu trainer. He started going on Instagram about Bitcoin, talking about, hey, I did $2,000, got $20,000 back, et cetera, et cetera. At first, I thought he was hacked, right? Off the bat. Then he started putting videos out of him saying, yes, I invested $2,000, got back $20,000. This guy, Jeff, whatever, is the best. He does everything, blah, blah, blah. You guys can trust him, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, wow, this is a big thing for a guy to be putting his face out there who has a dojo, who, especially with my background, the martial arts background, is like, he like walks on water to me, to be putting his face out there and saying that this is legit. So I had to reach out to him, and he's like, no, my Instagram has been hacked. And I'm like, I'm sorry, hacked?
Yeah, that's
like,
a big thing. Yeah.
Hacked. I'm like, wait, but there's a video of you talking, saying that you invested $2,000 and got back $20,000. He goes, no, that's not me.
Yeah,
what?
Deep fake. They use deep fake. Yeah.
I cannot believe that's where we're at. Like, I'm talking about, I was like so close to reaching out to this guy and be like, yo, here's $2,000. I want my 20 grand. I can really use 20 grand. Like, I cannot believe that's where we are. So I'm just telling people, so look out
for that. I have an Instagram code I need to send you real quick.
Yo,
from your phone. If you can just send me the code.
Yeah. If I don't get one of those every couple of days.
Like,
that's what in Crit's book. I gotta put
that. It's the video that threw me off. And that just because I didn't know we were there. I didn't know you can manipulate videos and have someone say what you want them to say.
Yeah. It's all over TikTok. It's crazy.
Like, it's insane. But now with that out of the way, basically my second issue, The Elements Burning the Truth, is with Chris. He's lettering it. I'm super excited for this Kickstarter. My two main worries, there's two things I've been trying to do for this Kickstarter. One, I've been trying for a while, and I'm a little concerned about how Kickstarter might perceive it. And I don't know if they're going to try and block it or whatever. And then there's another one that I'm still working on with the special design with this company. I hope it pans out in time for it to be part of the tiers. If it will, I think it would benefit everybody, especially bring back a bunch of people that simply wanted to support me, but not really into comics or anything. So I feel like this special tier will definitely benefit those kind of people as well. But the Kickstarter is supposed to drop February 17th. I already have issue 3 written out, already in the works, being drawn out as we speak. Like, I'm really planning on moving hard this year. With my new artist, she's been a blessing, and we've been really going hard. So y'all might even get 2 to 3 books by the time this year is over.
That's awesome.
So,
Dan Price.
Well, following the footsteps of the people who came before me, thanks for having me on tonight, guys. Seriously, had a good time. Jason, Chris, all y'all, thank you very much. Let's see. Well, I don't know if y'all saw the video this week, but I showed y'all 360 something books sitting on my counter, and 360 books were wrong. So, 360 something books were completely. They printed the proof version, not my edited version. But after I'd sent the edits to them, they reprinted the proof. So, so those will be, instead of those being in my hands on Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever it was this week, I won't get them until Wednesday of next week. So I go into production at work. I got a magazine going to bed next week, and then all this other stuff that has to be done by the end of the month. I was trying to have the book out by the end of January. I'm still going to try and have the book out by the end of January, but it might creep to the beginning of February, so I'm a little pissed right now. But hey, but you know what? They're coming soon, kids. Here's some screw-ups for you to look at, In fact, the funny part is I've had people contacting me, hey, will you send me some of those? Will you sell me, the misprints? Because they were like, those will be worth something because they're rare. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm allowed to keep 5 copies of each of the cover. That's it. And no. So I one person got a set two of them out of me, and I'm like, I'm holding on to the rest because I don't know, because I want to send my kids to college one day. And that's not how it's going to happen, but that's okay. But no, seriously, the book is coming out. The book will be mailing out in the next week or so. I mean, so I'm really going to be pushing to get that done. I even had problems with my trading cards. They miscut those, so I've got new ones coming for those. Let's just get it right. You know what I mean? So, thank you to all you guys, for being there and being supportive and just being yourselves and listening and all that shit. Because, I mean, I don't think there's any one of y'all. I mean, Nick, I just met you, but nice meeting you, dude. But I mean, all the rest of you guys, I've bent your ears. I've bothered you for your time. I've, driven you nuts in the middle of the night with my questions and my bullshit. So you all rock. Thank you very much. Dan out. So there you go.
Nick.
Well,
I don't know if you guys follow Black Sands or anything, but they just did that whole deal with what do you call it on
Shark Tank. Yeah, man, that's
Shark
huge.
Tank, so
Kevin Hart,
it's possible.
One day,
that's pretty
one
cool.
day.
I gotta say thanks again for inviting me on here. You don't have to. You put up with enough of my shit in the DMs as it is anyway. So,
you mean lack of DMs? Because you
wait, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, the lack of communication. I just want to say thanks again for one of the things that maybe not a lot of people know about, but there's a lot of comic podcasts or channels that it can get very drama spicy and just there can be a lot of cattiness. Sort of, I'm better than you. This campaign did better than that. And one of the things that is really nice about being with this group of guys is it's not about that. That's not how we take it. That's not how we look at things. We could see it as a collective. We're like, all right, we all did that. We all helped. We all pitched. There's no one-upmanship here. One guy's success is everyone's success here. And not to sound all lovey-dovey here, but it's refreshing to be in something positive that has a good and right-minded influence. So if I could put it out to new creators that are getting out there, be leery of those that are trying to one-upmanship or that are trying to pull a fast one on you and say, you have to pull it this way. Mm-hmm. Find people that are willing to help you reach the goals you want to reach, not how they see it. That's a big thing in this indie community, that there's a lot of sharks in this sort of small pond, and it's a very small pond, but there are some heavy sharks that would rather eat you up and spit you out and hope you fail. And I wish I could say there's not that many, but there's more than you can count, and they hide very well. So anyways, that was a little bit of a rant there. I could go on that one, but so in terms of what I'm kind of doing this year is I wish I could hire someone to explain what I'm even doing to myself, because I get lost in the amount of stuff that I'm doing. But we've got some cool books that I've been really wanting to tell some fun stories, especially with the Crusader. I've got him coming out later this summer. I hired Paul Tucker and Diego Albuquerque to work on that book, and just to really put together this really crazy story about a demon hunting exorcist that's going to be going across this demonic force in the Twin Cities, and he's going to be it's going to be kind of my more horror action based book. That comes up after our Crusade era. Was it 1100s? Nun taking on a demonic army, and this is the fun part: is they're interconnected. The story that's going to be coming out in March is going to be interconnected to the story that's coming out in the summer. And it all falls back into the original Demon Hunter. Each story is, I guess I should probably clarify. I love Assassin's Creed. I love how, while it takes place in several different times, there's different characters, they are all assimilated in some sort of manner. So that's been kind of the funnest part about this is, like we just did Sunchild, and we didn't even reveal how that's interconnected. That's coming up soon. So there's just a lot of branches that all align to the same tree. And that's one of the things I want to do is I want to reward our readers. You might invest in Sunchild, you might invest in the Crusader, you might invest in Naomi or Demon Hunter, and you're going to get a different experience with each title. But if you choose to partake in the whole entire adventure, you're going to get a very well-rounded idea of what's going on. So I don't know. I'm crazy. I don't know what I'm doing half the time, and I'm just excited that people are coming along and have really supported us because I mean, okay, to round back here, my first campaign only did 43 backers and $600. And I started out as a nobody, and a lot of these guys have come alongside me and have helped me, pushed me along, taught me some stuff. I mean, I've had some guys come in there and just rip me apart, but then said, "This is what you need to be doing to do it better." And sometimes you got to take that feedback and go, I know you're right. If I want to hit it to where people like it, and it's not just about me. And you got to take some of those criticisms and see it for what it is, because not everyone is trying to do the wrong thing. But I'm excited to see what this year comes, because we took a lot of the lessons we learned this last year, and we're looking to just put out something even better than what we've done. I mean, that's the goal every time, is to put out something that is better than the last book. And I don't know. I'm excited about these next stories. We've been spending a year working on them. And some of the things that we're talking about behind the scenes and how we're connecting them, like Saint Nick, okay, that just came out a few months ago, is interconnected to everything as well. It's doesn't seem like it, but man, I can't wait till I share that. Like, how does Saint Nick play in the Demon Hunter Raven? It's I don't know. I'm excited because we just have a good old time in the back, and we're just like loving these stories as we talk about them, and we're like, oh, what if this guy did this and it affected this story, and this time, like, what's happening in 700 AD to 2020, it's all has something playing on. There's like this overarching story that I can't wait to reveal to everyone soon.
Very excited. I'm gonna just comment on a couple things. I can't believe Nick said that we're the nice guys. That's guys to be around.
That tells you how much he's not in the chat.
Yeah, you don't join the chat that often. Huge asshole apparently.
Yeah.
And the Assassin's Creed thing. So Nick, I gotta admit something real quick. I played the first Assassin's Creed, and I worked at GameStop, and I played most of them, never finished any of them. And then you told me about the Viking one. I saw your rant about that one, and so I picked it up based on your rant. I got the special edition with all the DLC and all that fun stuff for my PS5, and that was my addiction around Christmas time. I dropped a good straight 2 days, and I was mad at myself for not drawing, but I got addicted to Assassin's Creed again due to your recommendation. I've limited my game time so I can work on other things, but thank you for that. As far as I will start with other projects and then go to Chris. Jerry, I will be lettering your stuff this weekend, working on that. I got your book in my hands at the time of the week for me. I've one of my positions was dissolved, signed on for another one, and I just signed documents for another LLC. And so I've got a lot of moving parts, on my 50,000 jobs. But it's supposed to snow heavily this weekend, so I'll be inside, and because I hate the cold, even though I'm from Northeast. So I'll be working on your stuff. I cannot say it enough. I'm excited for Celestial Night. When you send me those pages, if you want me just to start getting like one or two done at a time, I'm cool with that.
Awesome.
And then, I know Nate was in the comments. I'm lettering Omen as soon as Nate dusts that off for me and gives it to me. And then I've got Convictor as well, top of Crit 5. So those are the projects at hand. And as far as what I'm doing with Crit right now is I watched Spider-Man, and I got to say, it was my absolute favorite superhero movie I've ever seen. And I say that from the kid who watched the original Spider-Man. And what I took from that, I'm putting into Crit 5. I want everyone to really feel the way I did when I watched that movie. It's going to have, and that's why I'm making it 50 pages, close to, is because I want there to be acts within the book. I want you to be able to laugh. I want you to be able to feel that there's greater, there's bad things in the world. I think that everyone's got a feel for the fun part of Crit, and we get to really see some darker side of the world they're in. And that I want to deliver that, and I can't do that in a short book. So there's death in this book. There's permanent death. There's non-permanent death by design. And I have only shown pages to some people. I've given some teasers because they're non-impactful to the story, but I'm probably going to go dark on my work after a little while because I'd like to keep some of that close to my chest like Dennis. I've worked really hard on my artistry in the past few months. I've taken a lot of notes on what you guys have done. I was blown away by a few books this year. One, I'm going to say it, Dan.
Absolutely.
Looking at your art style, as picky as I am about what I like, I didn't think at first I would really enjoy Bigfoot when I first saw your art style with the finger and all that stuff way back. And I'm being honest here, love you to death.
Yeah.
When I saw the book and I saw your panel layouts and I saw your dialogue and I saw how it all flowed together, it really hit me hard as far as how I creatively put things together, because I'm a control freak, and control freaks like squares. Okay, it's really hard for me to break panels. It's really hard for me to draw a circle panel. So I want to challenge myself in book 5 to do things I'm not comfortable with my work, to achieve some of that feeling that I got from your book. And I'll even go into some of the other books I've done. Like I got firsthand experience with Jack's book, and I absolutely loved how he portrayed his character through the story, and how he brought his friends in and all this stuff. I gotta say, I'm trying to bring in the inspiration that all of you have given me, and really, carry my torch that I've given myself from book to book. I don't compare myself to anybody. I don't try to, like Nick said, I don't really even look at anybody else's work as if this is something I can do. I just want to beat Crit 4. That's it. And Crit 4 is in the mail for 99.9% of you. I have the people that got the figurines. I've been just waiting for those to set properly on the stands because I didn't want to send figures to the stand. And so I've been working with the epoxy on them. That's it. And I think Jason just text messaged me. He lost all audio, so he's no. But so those books will be coming to you soon. Anybody that got the big package, I'm gonna overnight those, so you get them FedEx 2-day to stay within my time frame. But everybody else, I've been at the post office 4 or 5 times, and benefit for everybody. My printer screwed up and gave me 11 by the big poster size instead of mini posters. And he says he can hear now. Great. So everybody got full-size posters on this campaign, which also created a hassle for me shipping because that became very costly. But I wasn't pushing the book back any further to get those right. I gave everybody full-size posters, and I'm not gonna lie, I was really happy with how that few came out. So
nice.
If you could, when you start getting that book, let me know what you think. If you read it, the worst thing about being a creator is having somebody say, "Yeah, I love what you do," and then you reference something that you like, and they have no idea what you're talking about. There's a few pages in book 4 I even read now and I laugh. I'd love to get that feeling that Dennis had when he threw my book against the wall. So anybody watching this, if you read it, my friends, people I don't know, people that just downloaded off the internet, let me know what you think. That's what I got. You going, Jason? You just a hangout. What are you gonna do? Can you hear us?
Yeah, well, I didn't hear anything you were saying. You were talking. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm done.
Okay, you can hear me. Yeah, I don't know. It's like, yeah, my earbuds took a crap on me. So.
Oh no.
Anyway,
we talked too long for you.
I am. I'm neck deep right now in the drawing murders. of certain gang members. That's what I'm doing, and so every day, more and more. I have a lot of big things that I'm not putting out there yet, but so trying to. I want to wow some folks too, obviously. So, but yeah, that's all I'm doing. I'm literally just working, just plugging away on that. So that's me. That's a big deal. This book for me. So. Other than that, I think that's it, right? What's that?
You were it. I gotta say thanks to everybody and anyone that stayed or watches for the 2 hours. I would say half the reason it went so long tonight is because we don't do them enough. So monthly Phalanx this year, you're gonna get 12 episodes of us being us. So take it or leave it. That's what you get. Anybody on here, if you want to come back, let us know. What date's good for you? Everybody that's been on the show is always invited back. Unless we hate you, we will block you, remove you.
Yep.
And
later, guys.
Later. Get out of here. We don't like you. Yeah. So if anybody wants to come back, let us know. Especially the guy Jack down here. We do miss you. We talk about that a lot.
All right.
Let me back. Nate, I'd love to see you outside.
Yeah, definitely.
With you talking again. So get on here, guys. Thank you.
This was awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, all right, boys. Fellas.
Thanks.
Been a great time. Thanks for joining us. Episode 14 of the Phalanx. See you again next month for episode 15. All right, boys. Signing off.